तो आई एम श्योर बधाने मंगलाचरण तो आवड़તું જ હશે. चिंता संतान हंतारो यत्पादाम्बुजरेण वह श्रियाणां तान् निजाचार्य प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः. यदनुग्रहतो जन्तु सर्वदुःखातिगो भवेत् तमहं सर्वदा वन्दे श्रीमद्वल्लभनन्दनम्. अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. नमामि हृदये शेषे लीलाक्षिराभिशायिनं लक्ष्मीसहस्रलीलाभिसेव्यमानं कलानिधिं चतुर्भिश्च त्रिभिस्तथा षड्भिर्विराजते योऽसौ पंचदा हृदये मम. पंचदा हृदये मम. पंचदा हृदये मम. श्री वल्लभाधीश की जय.
श्याम सुंदर श्री यमुने महारानी की जय. श्री यदुनाथजी प्यारे की जय. श्री गोपाल लाल प्यारे की जय. जय श्री कृष्ण. बधाईने. Again, thank you so much to see all my familiar faces always supporting me. So thank you. And first of all, Pushti Parivar UK બધા જાણો જ છો કે એમના પેટ્રન કોણ છે, શ્રી યદુનાથજી મહોદયશ્રી. So with his guidance, his influence, વૈશ્વ માટે કંઈ નવું કરતા રહીએ. મનોરથ કથા તો થતી જ રહે છે, પણ આપણા પોતા માટે શું, હેલ્થ માટે કે સેલ્ફ અવેરનેસ માટે કે દુનિયામાં બીજું શું થઈ રહ્યું છે મેડિકલ ઇશ્યુઝ બારામાં, તો એ જાણવા બહુ જરૂરી છે આપણા કમ્યુનિટીમાં. સો વી હેવ અમેઝિંગ કન્સલ્ટન્ટ્સ એન્ડ સ્પેશિયલિસ્ટ હિયર. And two lovely ladies, I'll talk about them in a minute, which they approached us and said that this should be aware as well. So I really appreciate you both coming here. The rest, all of you know, all the doctors, will introduce them one by one in a minute. Just want to, first of all, thank you to my team, who has always been supporting us and volunteering. And I want to just quickly introduce my husband, Sonal Kapoor, who's always behind me here, supporting me, even he likes to avoid, he has no choice. And then Yogesh could not make it, he has some family medical issue. Next person, always like a brother to me, and also a lot of things I want to say. Prashant Bhai, please, thank you to him as well. He comes from all the way from Gatwick. You know, people want to leave early, they can leave early if they have to go out, but please consider they have taken time off, they've made this commitment to us. And Yogesh Bhai just arrived from India just a few hours ago, so you know, he's jet lagged and he's got to go to work tomorrow in the hospital. So really appreciate all of you being here. Thank you very much. We're not going to waste any more time because they all have loads to tell you. The reason we kept this, English ma bolu ke Gujarati ma bolu? Is it okay to say English? So we're having live on Facebook, so at least they can also join in. The reason we've kept this, we thought that there's a lot of health issues in every single family household. It might be minor, major, it doesn't matter. When we were talking about this, and you know, sometimes in Katha, people don't turn up, so there were so many going on issues. So when I was talking to my Vaishnavas here, especially Mahendra Bhai, Kalyaniben, Yogesh Bhai, and Lalit Bhai, always say, Bana, let's do something, and I'm always there for you. So when they kept approaching me about all their specialities, they can share and help you, and you can pass on the message to people as well. We decided to keep this day, and today is a Republic Day. So before we start, we'll sing the national anthem. And can we have the flag? Because without that, we can't really sing. It's just there somewhere. You know, stand up. Keep it in the middle, I think.
Rama
Bharat Mata ki Bharat Mata ki Bharat Mata ki Shri Vallabhadishwara ki Jai. Okay. Okay, first of all, I'm going to introduce, I'm supposed to read this because I'm professional and I introduce these amazing people. I'm going to have let first doctor to give us what he thinks is right for us is Dr. Mahendra Bhai. He's a consultant in A&E and a thoracic surgeon. Sorry, thanks for correcting. That's the reason I didn't want to introduce them. So they can introduce each other afterwards so they can say it properly and maybe I don't miss out the words or pronunciation. So I'm going to hand over to Mahendra Bhai. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Jai Shri Krishna. My name is Dr. Mahendra Nathadwarawala. Nathwarawala is my first introduction. And I did my graduations in Masters of Surgery in Baroda. Came to UK to pursue the career in open heart surgery. So I did a heart surgery program in Brompton as well as got my FRCS and I was a consultant. Not many people don't believe, but I was. And then I went back to India to set up a unit and came back again. And I landed up in an accident and emergency department. Unfortunately, I'm not like a finance guy or brain training guy. I can tell you, and truly speaking, I work in Northwick Park. I work in Watford General Hospital as an A&E consultant. Right? So if anybody needs any help anytime, I'll pass on my number to you guys, okay? I think the purpose of today's meeting, first of all, I must congratulate PP UK chairperson Bhavnaben for her relentless enthusiasm of having a novel ideas and driving it through. So let's give a big round of applause for PP UK, Bhavnaben and entire team. પૂજ્ય જય જય શ્રીના આશીર્વાદથી આજે આપણે બધા ભેગા થઈ શક્યા અને I remember a Gujarati poem which my father-in-law, my teacher used to say કે ઘડી ભલાઈની જાય તો મહાલક્ષ્મી ગણી લેજે. Even the 1 second of your life comes to help to someone else, you feel that it is worthwhile. Okay, so I think I don't want to be giving lectures to you. Let's be the interactive, okay? So if you have any burning question, right, regarding heart, I'm happy to start taking them. Have you got any burning question? If not, then I can take you through a few things, okay? So basically, recently my mother was quite Pushti Margian and Bhagavadiyata and they suffered heart disease. I said, wow, that's interesting. And what I've realized that our sampradaya, is quite connected to heart as well as preventive heart disease. આપણે બધાને પેલું ભજન યાદ હશે આપણે કે મારા ઘટમાં બિરાજતા શ્રીનાથજી યમુનાજી શ્રી મહાપ્રભુજી. So basically I think our sampradaya has got a heart and health at their heart, and every heart has got a Mahaprabhuji there. So basically what I meant is that my main interest always remained as a preventative heart disease. Heart attack no aave to saru. There are lots of medications have come, lots of advances have come in heart surgery, and luckily you can get it fixed. There's nothing to worry about, like angioplasty, surgery, right? But the best thing is to prevent the heart disease. To prevent the heart disease, there are certain risk factors which you can change, certain you can't change. If you can't change, you can't avoid them, just enjoy them, right? So there are certain things you can change like diet, your hypercholesterolemia, your diabetes you can control well, your blood pressure you should control well. Smoking is one of the biggest killer for heart disease, but the biggest risk factor is stress. And a very interesting study has come up that the Western people, like Asians who are coming from Asia and staying in Western world, have got a higher risk of a coronary artery disease. There's a very published data here. So we, all of us are staying here in this stressful situation, are actually at slightly higher risk of having a coronary artery disease. And so the best thing is to avoid it and prevent it, right? And I think for preventing stress, we are one of the most blessed community in the entire universe. Like, Sri Krishna Saranam Mama, Apadu Yamnastakam, and Apadu Je Bhakti Je, it really is so much distressing, and that's why I always wonder, my mother, even age of 96, never suffered heart disease. So I think there's one thing that we can always relieve the stress, and Chinta Thatiyo Sarvodhamno Path Karo, Chinta Mati Jaishe. And I personally experienced, right? So I'm sure no medical journal will accept that by having Yamnastak you can prevent the heart disease. But I personally believe it. A second thing I would like to share with you, to share some knowledge with you, is a basic life support. Which is, how many of you are familiar with basic life support? I'm sure some of my colleagues will definitely be. But basic life support has to be. So basic life support is something, जो आपने आवड़तो होय, तो आपने घणी बधी life बचावी पड़ शकीए, right? So वो तो मुझे basic life support विषय थोड़ा, I think I'd like to demonstrate. You must have heard about it. And आपने हम लगे कि ambulance वाला के paramedics ने जावड़े. I was going to bring a dummy for you to show the basic life support. But let me tell you, if you are witnessing a family member or bystander who is suddenly collapsed, right? So what do we do at that time? Okay? So there are certain rules or some message you can take home today. First thing is, you don't panic. Okay? And second important bit is that you got to behave as I'm the only help available to this particular person. Okay? And one fundamental principle is that let the patient lie down on the floor. Okay? And once the patient is on the floor, you can assess, right? Airway, breathing, and circulation, A, B, C. If he's not breathing, he's not responding, you can feel the nostril, and another thing is you can put your cheek close to the nostril and feel if there's any air coming or not, right? If the airway is okay, he's not breathing, then you can put the hand in his neck and find the pulse. There's no pulse, that means there's a cardiac arrest. At this time, you should call for help, right? No panic, but you do call for help, right? You can declare there's a cardiac arrest, and then you can do external cardiac compression. That's very easy to do. Let me just show it to you. So basically, what you need to do is patient should not be on a sofa or on the chair, and they should be on the floor, okay? I don't want to jump on you. So, yeah, you can do it, sir. So,
it's too dirty.
You can coach Gandu Shari. No, chair, I want them to see the floor. Yeah? And then what you do is you come to your knees, okay? You come to your knees, right? And then, I'm loud enough.
Shall I hold it for you?
Yeah. Now I'm loud enough. Then what you need to do is, you need to keep your both hands straight and find the middle of the chest, and then keep pumping at 100 beats per minute. So 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Mark my words, if you can do that for a few minutes till the help arrives, you would be able to survive somebody who's very near and dear to you. Okay? So basic life support is not difficult. Okay? And you need to make sure that you should be able to do the external compression. We've seen it in the movies, we've seen it in lots of places. So this is a very basic technique. The patient has to be on the floor, then you jump on the chest, and then you just give the compression at 100 beats per hour. Till either patient starts fighting you or he kicks you, he's alive. If he kicks you, he's alive. So don't feel offended. If he slaps you, that means you've done a good job. Yeah? So basically, I think this is a very simple basic life support, okay? And second basic thing which I think Kalyani will also share with us, conversions, fit, right? જો કોઈને ખેંચ આવતી હોય, તમે જોયું કોઈને ખેંચ આવે છે, Only one thing if you do, if you can just catch hold of them and put them in a recovery position, that means they should be on the side. Most of the people with the fits, they die of aspiration pneumonia. They die because they aspirate their own vomitus, okay? So even if you just put them on the side and keep asking for help, you would survive somebody. So the basic life support, compressions and putting them on the side is a very basic, fundamental basic life support and the basic care you can give. And you may not know whom you have to give it to, right? Let me share an anecdote with you. We were in this cruise with HDH Shri. And I think Vrindavan Avsar. And there was somebody, he collapsed in front of us and they were doing Reiki and everything. And I told Kalyani, this guy is not breathing. I had to jump on his chest. They were Italian doctor and Nigerian nurse, not new medicine, not new English. So I just told them, look, I'm an A&E consultant. This is what I do for my living. Can I help you? So first thing, can you get rid of these guys? I said, okay, I'll do that. And then we jumped on the chest. We defibrillated. With lots of help, like defibrillation, right? So suppose if somebody is not breathing and circulation is not there, and if you can put those pads on, most of the, if you are watching Baywatch, yeah, you know that most of the defibrillators are automated. So do not get scared to put the pads on. If you find it cardiac arrest, you might be able to save one life. Even if you save one life in the entirety of lifespan, you will not forget that. And they will not forget that either. Okay? So I think my main message to you today would be, right, that look after your heart, yeah, by distressing, doing some exercise, looking after your diabetes, stop smoking, yeah. There are certain things you can't change, like, you know, genetic predisposition to hypercholesterolemia. If you have got a strong family history of heart disease, like, you know, brothers, sisters, or mother, father have died at a young age, hassle your cardiologist or GP, right? That I need my test done. If they don't do, come to me. Watford is always open to you. We do about 400 cases a day. So, so get it checked out. If you've got high risk of cardiac disease, okay? And second thing, if you get chance to save somebody on a basic life support, don't shy away. Just help them out. You should be doing something good and you'll feel very, very happy. Okay? So I think with this little prescriptive sermon, I would like to sort of give rest to my pravachan, and I think if you have any questions, I'm happy to take it now, or shall we take question later on?
No,
yeah,
I think as you go along.
Huh?
As you go.
Should I stand up? Or
Yeah, whatever is it, convenient.
My son, 44 years old, he had a heart attack recently. Now he lives in an area where it's mostly white people, yeah? In Muswell Hill, that side. They didn't know that this was, you know, usually pharmacists would even know in this area that, okay, time to call ambulance, yeah? He wasn't. 15 days he was given antacid and, you know, acid reflux medicine, etc. So I would propose to you guys that it should be known in all of London, wherever the Asians living, you know, if they go to a pharmacy, then they should be straight away taken to A&E.
Yes.
Because they don't know. In Harrow, we all know that Asian population, right, send them. But they didn't know.
Yeah.
So they should be made aware as well that South Asians are more prone to this. Correct?
Absolutely. Now you've got a very valid point.
It should be made known by some authority.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think you're absolutely right. The first point of call is pharmacist, and if they know that this is not gastritis or gastrointestinal, luckily we get a lot of reference from GP nowadays. But as you rightly said, we missed pharmacists, so I'll definitely pass into the message to our cardiac department in A&E. Yeah, and exactly, see, people think that people always feel that I shouldn't be going to A&E, but slightest chest pain, discomfort, don't ignore it. Don't ignore it. We get lots of time wasted in A&E. I love them because they keeps my job going. I give them a sandwich and send them home. But if you have a chest pain, it's best that you come to us and get it sorted out sooner rather than later. Okay? And do not ignore your chest pain. Chest pain is something, unfortunately, if you're diabetic, then you may not get the signal. So if you're feeling sweaty, unwell, 999 straight to us, okay? And you might have to wait 3-4 hours, okay? But you know, Yamuna stuck ni chopper line jojo je karu hai tumhe kar de. હું બધા જય શ્રી કૃષ્ણ મેં લેસ્ટરમાં બી શીખવાડી દીધું છે. લેસ્ટરમાં બધા there were lots of nurses and lots of Indian patients, so nurses were asking me, how do we greet them? I said, call them Jai Shri Krishna. I said, it's very difficult. I said, no. How do you say Jesus Christ? Jai Shri. I said, Krishna. They're all friends there. So the question is that do not hesitate, don't get scared about the wait time in A&E, but if you have worry, I definitely make a point to let all the pharmacists know heart disease, even like, you know, we are very keen to get it prevented.
They are getting younger and younger.
Yeah, absolutely. Younger heart attacks are known. Even I have seen the youngest heart attack at the age of 16. And, but there are lots of other, the good news is that lots of treatments are available for heart disease. So people live longer and longer and longer and longer. They don't have to worry about, have you got one angioplasty or surgery? That does not necessarily mean that that's the end of the life. But only surgery give you the survival benefit in a medical terminology. એક જ એવું ઓપરેશન છે કે તમારું જે તમને આયુષ્ય દાન આપે છે, તમારું લાઈફ વધારે છે, right? I'm sorry about Yogesh will talk about knee replacement, hip replacement gives you the pain relief. But only operation is coronary bypass surgery or angioplasty, which will extend your life. Okay? I think I made it a bit more serious, so yes, go for it.
What about palpitation? Because I'm having a palpitation from maybe last from 6 months, and I'm scared to go to hospital because whenever I go,
you go to hospital, you get more palpitation. Don't worry about it. No, see, listen, palpitations are usually not a sinister thing, okay?
I don't go.
So, no, but you should go. The question is, danda par laat nahi marwani. Now, basically what we need is, for example, heart rate when becomes irregular, okay? That is called palpitation when you are aware of the heartbeats, okay? The commonest thing is anxiety. Second common thing is excessive coffee or alcohol, yeah? And smoking and lack of exercise. There are 3 things you can do yourself. So first of all, if you are having coffee, stop it. Tea, coffee, everything stop. If you are anxious about it, the 8 વાર એમના સ્ટક કરે અગર બહાર નીકળવાનું નહીં અને 8 ની આપણે સેવા કરવી અને ભાવનાબેને જ્યારે ક્યાં હાજર થઈ જાઓ તો બધી એન્ઝાઇટી જશે અને પછી નહીં તો એક મારી પાસે આવે તો તમારે ECG બધું કરાવી આપીશ. પણ palpitation in per se is usually not harmful. It's a nuisance.
Even the heartbeat is 179 something.
When I go to gym, my heart is 180.
Okay, then fine.
So it's not harmful, but question is that very rarely this atrial fibrillation, we call it, could be because of ischemia. So that's why this very rare cause. One commonest cause is we don't know the reason, but most of the time either hyperthyroidism or anxiety. There are simpler causes for that. But you know, even if you watch your palpitation, come to the A&E once and you will be in the system to the electrophysiologist and they will sort it out for you. Appointment see A&E માં મજાની વાત એ છે કોઈ appointment જરૂર નથી અને મને ફોન કરશે તો બહુ રાહ બી નહીં જોવા દઉં.
They did my 24 hours monitor.
Sorry?
They did have my 24 hours monitor.
That is okay?
I haven't got the result yet.
Yeah.
But that means my GP says more than a
If
10
see
minutes.
normally
You should come to the A&E.
when they don't send you the result, is always a good news. Because for heart they are quite hot. Yeah, Pucha?
This is a diet-related question.
Yeah.
For a normal healthy person with no heart problems, how healthy or unhealthy is it to eat normal fats? As in, not fried food, but fats from avocado.
I think your question better answered by Kalyani, because we see, all research is pharmaceutical driven. Like atorvastatin and all the drugs where we were very hot on reducing the cholesterol for preventing cardiac disease. And what they found was that if you have a hypercholesterolemia, you may have a heart disease. But if you have heart disease, not necessarily you always have a hypercholesterolemia. So they were not very poorly linked, okay? So nowadays we are not that hot on reducing your fat level. But question is that I think anything in moderation is absolutely fine. Anything in excess will cause the problem, isn't it? One more myth I need to get rid of it in a Western world. People say, okay, alcohol, little bit of red wine reduces my high density lipoprotein. This bloody bullshit. Okay, sorry about that. So no alcohol helps the heart. Okay, only thing which helps the heart is walking 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes in the evening. If you do that much, that's enough exercise for you to get. એટલા માટે મને બીજો another interesting part મને એમ લાગ્યું કે આપણે ગિરિરાજ પરિક્રમા કરવા જઈએ. Every month જઈએ, every year જઈએ, that is a. So I think આપણે વલ્ભાચાર્ય જે વિચારી જ હશે કે આ લોકોને ચલાવવા હશે તો આવું જ કંઈ કરવું પડશે. એટલે મને લાગે છે કે આપણે અહીંયા ગિરિરાજ પરિક્રમા કરવી જોઈએ. ગિરિરાજ પરિક્રમા ના થાય ને તો આપણે 100 સેપ્ટેસબરી આવવાની પરિક્રમા કરી આવવાની. And they did a walk last time, so I think walking is the best exercise. And if food-wise, anything in moderation is okay. Yes.
Statins, does it help?
See, that's what I'm trying to say. Okay, we were very hot on the statin. It does help. Initially we thought that statin was very, very, very high on the prevention of heart disease. So prevention is two types of prevention. It's the primary prevention of heart disease and the secondary prevention of heart disease. So some primary prevention કે જેને કોઈ હાર્ટ એટેક કે કારણે બાયપાસ સર્જરી કશી કરાવવાની જરૂર નથી પડી તે જ રીતે આપણે હાર્ટ ડિઝીઝ પ્રિવેન્ટ કરવા માંગીએ છીએ એમાં statin has got no role. But if you are hypercholesterolemic genetically, statin is definitely required. And the secondary prevention we always prefer to give them statin.
But there's a lot of side effects.
They are. So that's why we need to work out, balance it, that risk-benefit ratio. I think your cardiologist should be able to help you out, and they're very eager to do that. Only problem is that to bypass your GP and go to cardiologist is a tough time. But we are all married people, so we know how to get our points through. So go to your GP number of times eventually. That's a good thing to do if you've got strong family history. Yeah, side effects are minimal.
My sister in the heart Mahodayshri.
Yeah. See, basically, hole in the heart. Good news about this congenital heart disease is that they're reducing now in ours because the echocardiogram is very good. Hole in the heart is not an issue. They should be fixed ASAP, as soon as possible, because there are two types of holes: holes in the top and the hole in the bottom. Atrial septal defect or ventricular septal defect. If it is a small ASD, nowadays they do without operation. The cardiologist can put an umbrella and close it. Unfortunately, if it has been left for too long, then what we call is Eiser Wenger, then we can't operate. Then only answer the transplant. How old is the sister?
75.
Yeah, I think she probably wouldn't be a suitable candidate for she should just take aspirin or some blood thinner to prevent clot and look after her. That's it.
Because one in the family has got heart problem.
Heart, yeah, but yeah. Yeah, so it's better to keep an eye on and get it checked out. Anybody else? Sorry, I think I've got 3-4 more speakers. So, thank you very much. I thoroughly enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed. And I really enjoyed it. So I'll introduce my wife, Dr. Kalyaniben Nathdwarawala. We were studying together. And now she's a consultant neurologist. At the moment, she's working in Stoke Mandeville, right? And so I'll pass it on to her and give us some brainy news.
Thank you. I think I'm just going to remain seated, so it's informal. And I think, let me first explain that what we do as a neurologist. I mean, people think neurologists and psychiatrists are the same, but that's not the case. We deal with the physical brain. So I brought a brain model, okay? So the right side, which is dominant in majority of the cases, human beings, is controlled by the left side of the brain. There's a crossing. And the main crossing occurs in what we call this as the brain stem, okay? So that's the brain stem, And these small parts are the small brain, which deals with balance, okay? So any disorder arising from the whole brain, the brainstem, or the cerebellum is what we deal with. Along with that, obviously, there is the spine, and from the spine there are peripheral nerves which come out, and they supply the muscles of your limbs, hands and legs. So that's called peripheral nerves. And if there are disorders of the peripheral nerves, that's also what we diagnose, okay? We don't operate, we diagnose. That can be a brain tumor in the brain or in the spine, compressing the nerves, or there could be strokes which can present usually to A&E and then obviously referred to us. Epilepsy is one of the commonest cause that is usually presenting to us. So epilepsy is catch, okay, so it's not necessarily that the epilepsy is usually generalized, which you have probably seen, where a person gets movements of both upper and lower limbs. It can be in form of absence seizures, where the person just loses contact with the surroundings for a while. Sometimes we get patients who are students and nobody has witnessed the episodes, and they say we find ourselves on the floor without realizing what has happened. So there are various types of epilepsy. There are also partial epilepsies, which is more common in the later age group, which is also a part of a mini stroke, although they don't yet accept that, but it is. So they can present with just an abnormal movement of one limb, not necessarily the whole body. And they may not lose consciousness. So if it's a generalized seizure, they would lose consciousness, but if it's a partial seizure, they don't necessarily need to lose consciousness. We also deal with headaches and migraines, and that's usually very common to see in our clinics, headaches and migraines which are become chronic. And I think because this is a health fair, I think what I need to let everybody know is migraines can quickly turn into what we call a chronic analgesia overuse headache. So if you're having more than 4 episodes in a month and you're popping pills and still it's becoming chronic, do please go and see your GP, and they will definitely refer quickly to us, and we can teach you how to prevent that and what are the acute medications. So there are other types of headaches, which is called a cluster headache, where you get watering from one side and it comes as a cluster. So there's a lot I could talk about headaches, but that's another thing where we see patients more commonly. The more complicated cases where they come with peripheral neuropathy, where they can't walk properly, is where we need the help of extra investigations in form of electrical testing of the nerves, which is called neurophysiological testing. And that's how we diagnose. Of course, clinically we find that the tendon jerks are depressed, and of course clinically we suspect that this patient could have a peripheral neuropathy, especially in diabetics. If you feel that the soles of your feet are like a cushion, that's the commonest presentation. They feel that they're walking on pebbles or things like that. Or they can have restless leg syndromes or burning feet syndromes. Yeah, and the other common diagnosis that we usually see is Parkinson's disease or tremors. Not all tremors are Parkinson's disease. The commonest fear when a patient comes to us is that, do I have Parkinson's disease? And majority of them have just tremors. So the tremors can be just a benign essential tremor, where it can run in the family, and usually it calms down with alcohol, although we say that's not the treatment, but that is a diagnosis. So it can affect the jaw, it can affect the hands, it can affect the legs, the commonest is presenting with a tremor in the hand. They find out when they're drinking a cup of tea, it spills all over. So that's about the tremor. But when it starts affecting their balance, and they can have other symptoms of Parkinson's disease where they have a mask-like face, they slow down, they're constipated, they're depressed, they start having recurrent falls, that's obviously when you need to see a neurologist, definitely. And the treatment is very effective. Idiopathic Parkinson's disease is very much treatable. So don't be afraid of that diagnosis. But there is a syndrome which is called Parkinsonism, where there are other causes for presentation like Parkinson's. It doesn't usually respond very well to treatment. And other types of disorders which are commonly seen is multiple sclerosis, which is common in Western side where we live, of course, here in Europe and UK, where you can have paralysis of a part of your body temporarily and then improve and then get it again. You can have tingling and numbness, and that's usually the fear that people have when they come to us. Do I have multiple sclerosis? And then we have to get the MRI done of the brain, and that's when we diagnose, okay, this patient has multiple sclerosis or not. It can affect the eyes, it can affect the speech, it can affect the balance. So this is in a nutshell the type of different kind of disorders that we see, and obviously you might have some relations who have had strokes. Now strokes are of majority or are of three types. They can be either due to the circulation not being right in the brain, they can be due to a clot which can embolize either from the heart to the brain, or they may be due to brain hemorrhage. So depending on the type of the stroke, obviously the treatment will depend on what part of the body has been affected and what needs to be done. But obviously don't wait if you find that this person is not right. If you find, Mahendra was going to talk about fast. Yes. So do you want to take that up?
Yeah. This is again a very simple kind of information we should have is that like fast is a face, arm, speech and the time. So suppose if you find a friend or relative, somebody, right, whose face is asymmetrical, right, he can't hold the arm, suddenly something drops in the arm, right, or the speech is coming around 999 straight to us, okay, yeah, and so the fast, if you remember, the reason being the timing is important because nowadays so much of medications are available. There's a clot, we thrombolize straight away, yeah. And even if you ring your ambulance, say, I've got a fast positive patient, they'll come running.
Yeah.
Right?
So it has to be done. These thrombolysis, which Mahendra is talking about, is basically if they find that this patient has a clot in the brain, they are trying to dissolve that clot by giving an injection. But that has to be done within 3 to 4 hours. So the question comes that what if somebody wakes up with weakness, which is common, because majority of the strokes occur in sleep. That's why I ask majority of my patients to take aspirin at night. So if anybody is on aspirin, it's important they take it at night because majority of the strokes occur in sleep because that's when your blood flow becomes sluggish and static. So if somebody wakes up with a weakness, I mean, are they possibly going to get thrombolysis? That question can be decided by the doctors who are treating. But it is always useful immediately to call the ambulance and get it treated. Now the stroke specialists are in majority of the big hospitals, so the ambulance person will know which hospital to take you to. So depending on the age and comorbidities. By comorbidities we mean, do they have high blood pressure, do they have diabetes, do they have other conditions which will make them plus or minus for thrombolysis. So prevention of stroke, I think, is very important, where you all can be aware, I mean, what you eat. I think exercise is important, but in my long experience, what I've found is what you ingest is so very important. And that's where our Pushti Mark comes in. You cook your own food, marjadi loko su kare. Potanu khawanu banaye, potani jate, they know where they've sourced the food from, and they know what they're putting into their bodies, yeah. So that has a very scientific basis. I mean, you're not eating any biscuits from outside where you might have processed and various things have been put in for as additives, although they might not put it on the labels. So I think what you put in your body is very important, not just for the brain prevention of strokes, for prevention of heart disease. And as I was talking about peripheral neuropathy, I mean, the nerves are like hair and they also require blood supply. So if you have high cholesterol and your peripheral nerves are not functioning properly, then it's thinning of the blood, and what you're ingesting, that's very important. So prevention, where you guys can be aware of, is definitely be very careful what portion of food you're eating. Take small portions, eat small meals, and be very mindful, okay? So avoid processed things, and crisps are definitely something that you should avoid, especially if people have high blood pressure. Salt has to be reduced. You can measure your amount of salt on the day and say, I'm not going to have more than this. So cook your food without salt. Salt is easily dissolved in every meal, and you can put it on the top. So whoever wants to have more is allowed. But those who are having high blood pressure should avoid salt. Again, with diabetes, you have to avoid sugar. So, I mean, we could go on and on about, but I think being mindful of what you eat, try and eat healthy, try and eat fresh, and try and eat small portions, okay? So I think before I derail, I will allow you to ask me questions, because I could go on prevention quite a lot. But as I said, just prevention of heart and brain disease, it's all vascular, basically circulation and what you eat. So it is very important to take care of what you eat. Okay. Questions, yeah.
I must say thank you to you guys. Just to add my part of it in where they helped me out after the kapha. I had a little bit of problem with my left sides due to stress and also pressure on my neck. In the end I found out that. But we thought it was a mini stroke.
Yes.
Luckily, Thakurji Kripa, that it wasn't.
Yeah.
But because love, as we all know, Auntie, you have to take aspirin. The night before I was at your house.
There's no harm in taking, if you think that there's a stroke.
So, you know, this
300 milligrams.
Do share.
Yeah.
Because you are going to save somebody's life here.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
I spoke to Mahendra Bhai on the phone, and I said, he made me take the aspirin, best thing to do, and keep taking it until all your tests are done.
Negative.
Which, thank you so much, I did.
Yeah.
And luckily, nothing happened.
Fantastic.
So my results were all clear, and I didn't have a stroke in the end, which hoo-ha went on, but it wasn't.
So just a word of caution here. I mean, strokes not necessarily bring positive results, okay? There's an entity which is called TIA, transient ischemic attack. So any neurological deficit which improves within 24 hours, okay, is a transient ischemic attack, okay? And usually we give 300 milligrams of aspirin for 15 days and then ask them to be on mini aspirin at least for a year. Of course, we investigate for risk factors, and if nothing is found, it's always good news.
Yeah.
But it is safer to take aspirin to prevent strokes than not to take it. But a word of caution again is, if it was a hemorrhagic stroke and if there is a family history of bleeding disorders, then you have to be careful with aspirin because it thins down your blood. So it is always important to take medical advice. Okay. Yes.
May I ask you, what is the reason behind eating small portions? How does it help?
Yeah, I mean, the small portion theory has come now, and it's not just small portions, and it's eating slow as well. So it takes some time for the brain to register what you've eaten. So if you eat very fast, you will not have that satiety feeling or feeling of fullness. But if you eat slow, even half the amount, you will find that you're full within the small amount, and if you've eaten slowly. So it's the coordination of the brain and the stomach, because the stomach also requires nerve supply, okay? So if you eat small portions and if you eat slowly, that is better than eating big portions. Yes?
Just one question. Aspirin, what would be the ideal dose? Mini aspirin also?
Yeah, 75 milligrams is the ideal dose, but as I said, that it depends on the situation. So in the acute prevention, if it was a TIA, we normally give 300 milligrams because it takes a while for the body to get used to it for 15 days, and then we cut it down to 75 milligrams till follow-up.
Now just think of preventative measures.
So not everybody should take aspirin without medical advice, because there are contraindications. People can bleed from the stomach, and if people have a bleeding diastasis, they can bleed from elsewhere. So definitely discuss it with your GP. Initially, primary prevention with aspirin was advocated, but now the studies have come forth with not so much in favor of aspirin, the complications being more than advantage.
The benefit.
Yeah.
Dada.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Can you reverse dead brain cells?
Well, the brain cells do take a while to die, so they are freezing bodies in US, hoping someday that a miracle will happen and you'll be able to revive those people. But with what deficit they'll come out, we don't know yet. Stem cells is a thing at the moment, and they're using stem cells for various things. But again, it is very much in experimental phase. Okay, so I'm going to pass over to... Welcome. So Yogesh is a consultant orthopedic surgeon, and he's specializing in foot and ankle, and he does the knees as well. And he's a consultant at Abergavenny Hospital in Wales. So I'm just going to pass on the mic to him.
And Yogesh Bhai is going to go straight from here to Wales.
Yeah, he's just arrived from India.
Really appreciate your time.
So, Jai Shri Krishna Badane. I've got two passions in life. One is orthopedics, and other one's to make people laugh.
Yes, I must say that.
You've seen that.
I must say
Okay.
that.
So we are going to go on a reverse order. First of all,
Yogesh Bhai, just a second. I must add this because, being a specialist, and he always said that make people laugh is the most healthiest way. And he uses that technique wherever he goes. We went to Cardiff, and all the way through our journey with JJ and other professionals, he made us laugh so much. And JJ also said, Donovan, we are in a don't relax thing.
Please, I will love that. Okay. So, because of the time constraint, I'm going to go in the reverse order. I'm going to do 3 topics, and you ask the question and I'm going to answer, okay? And those 3 things are, one is going to be arthritis in general or arthritis of the knee. Second one we're going to cover is foot and ankle, like a heel pain or bunions or any other problems. And third one would be an osteoporosis, okay? So we're going to have a quick fire round, and then to think about some questions, and then we will do whatever question comes to your mind, and it doesn't have to be any particular order, and we do it. And I'll start with a joke, because the patient goes to the doctor, and you know what happens with this, people eat too much and things like that, and obesity, the doctor says, you must lose weight. He said, but doctor, the obesity runs in my family. He said, no, because nobody runs in your family. So I think that is where it is. Now, just before I forget, touching on the point about the diet, because you mentioned something about diet, and there is our body goes into the fat burning mode after about 14 hours. So we never remain starved for 14 hours. 14 hours, we hardly ever go into the fat burning mode. And that's why this new thing which is coming is called interval fasting, where you don't eat only for 8 hours, don't eat for 16 hours. Or there is intermittent fasting, where you don't eat on some of the days when you go into the fat burning mode. And this was there in our thing, Agyaras Karwani aave, ke Janmashtami aave, tam upvas karo. Obviously, it has been modified when we eat lots and lots of other food. But in general, the idea is that we go into those fat burning mode, and that not only reduces your weight, but it can prevent your diabetes, it can reduce your diabetes, it reduces heart disease. So these things, traditions of fasting, is now actually becoming more and more popular. It didn't got a scientific validation, but we have been taught that. Okay, so we start. I'm a foot and ankle surgeon. I deal with a lot of foot and ankle problems, heel pain, ankle pain, bunions, feet and things like that. I deal with the knees, arthritis and things like that. And osteoporosis is also very common because we deal with the fractures and things like that. So let's start with the questions and then I'll answer. And anybody want to start the questions? Please. And I'm not going to answer each question individually because otherwise it just goes from off to off. So I'm just going to write your question on the board and then I'm going to cover as a topic. Okay? So we're just going to do the question within the next 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Just follow.
Yeah, sometimes the knee, why does it click? Not click, but it just, you can't make it straight. Suddenly it just...
Feeling of locking.
Freezes,
Okay.
locking.
Okay. Locking of the knee.
Yeah.
Or, okay. Any other questions?
I got osteoporosis.
Okay.
Yes, I did one definitely.
So what do you want to know about osteoporosis?
Is it getting worse? Does it harm the tablet?
Okay, fine. So osteoporosis, treatment, and maybe we can go on to the prevention, yeah? Okay. Anybody else want to know? Yeah, please.
So my mother-in-law has really bad arthritis. So she's got pain in her around her wrist and then now her arm. And the GP just says, there's nothing that they can do. Is that true? What can be done if she's got arthritis? How can it be officially diagnosed?
Okay, fine. So diagnosis and treatment of arthritis, particularly in the hands, yeah?
Hands and maybe arm.
Yeah, okay. Anybody else have got something? Yeah?
Osteoporosis. I heard 2-3 days ago that Bonton in India, it's a company called Vasu. Do you recommend that too? Because it's an Ayurvedic.
Okay, fine. So Ayurvedic treatment for osteoporosis. Okay.
And it's supposed to even heal fractures. That's what they're claiming. So
Okay, fine.
What about cold feet and hands? Cold feet and hands?
Cold feet and hand probably have to do with the circulation. It's rheumatology or circulation rather than orthopedic. So I would very little knowledge. I'll pretend if I say I know that. So I'll be honest.
What about knee replacements?
Yeah, knee replacement. Yeah, absolutely. Because I've done hundreds and thousands of those. I'm happy to answer any question on knee replacement. But I'll cover that. Okay.
I suffer with psoriasis and psoriatic arthritis.
Okay.
So people say that I'm not Kauje or not Kauje.
Okay. I'll cover some of the psoriatic arthritis. Something?
The clicking sounds when you move your knees, ankles, etc.
Okay. Okay, clicking sounds, clicking fingers, knees, okay? Fine. Okay, so let's start, okay? Any more questions? We will do in the end, but let me just, okay, you got something?
Yeah, how can yoga help with some of these conditions?
Fine. So, yoga probably has all three. Okay, so we'll cover that.
With all this thing of veganism kicking in, how do we go about with the milk stuff for good bones or joints or whatever?
Okay, so basically you got a calcium alternative, right? Okay, that's fine. So we got a nice thing to cover. So I'm just going to cover and be mindful of the time. Fine. So first of all, I'll start with a simple thing. The clicking of the sound is totally harmless. Okay, when the joint clicks, when people do the fingers, it's totally harmless. If the children are doing it, we just tell them nagging. There's no evidence that the clicking is any harm to your body. Okay, so that is one thing, number one. Okay, locking can occur because of the arthritis when you're going downstairs, when you go downhill, that can occur with the locking. And if the knee locks, that means sometimes there is a pathology inside. Loose body check, meniscus torn. If the locking continues, that needs to be investigated, and then we can easily treat it with a keyhole operation. Okay?
Sometimes it gives way.
So giving way, what is it? I got this very common problem. It's called patellofemoral. Apart front knee अंदर दुखे, अने घना लोगों ने दादरो उतरता निकल दुखे, दादरो चढ़ता दुखे, ढाल उतरता चढ़े, हमारा वेट में ढाल होगा, यहाँ बुद्धू flexible. Okay, very simple exercise I'm going to teach you, and that is going to help you to get rid of that problem, and it really works. And that is to stretch your hamstrings. So basically, what you do is, I don't need a microphone. What you do is, you put your foot onto the something, and then feel the stretch in the back of this, and count to 10. And during the same time, you tighten your kneecap. Okay, so you strengthen your quadricep muscles, and then you're stretching your hamstring. Okay, now, so you're putting this back, and you're stretching that. દાલગાડી સામે ઊભા રહી અને you can go on to the step 2, step 3, step 4 depending on what is your capacity. So you start with the step 2, do the stretching for 10 seconds, let it go, stretch for 10 seconds, let it go, and then after a week or two go to the third step, maybe go to the fourth step. If your hamstrings are stretched, it will definitely reduce the pain in front of the knee. Radra utarta charta badan je dukhtu hai, that with simple exercise, hamstring stretching. You try it, very simple, and within a week or 10 days you will see the big difference. Okay? So that covers that. Okay. So the arthritis of the knee can occur at any age. But the arthritis which occurs in the younger age can tend to be the psoriatic arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, inflammatory bowel disease, any jode bada arthritis. Those arthritis require specific medical treatment. Because what happens, कि अपनी body के system जैसे ने, it start fighting against us. The immune system which is supposed to defend us is like a friendly fire. You know what I mean? So that's what is happening, and that would require specific treatment. Unfortunately, the medical science has got a treatment which can control the disease, which can control the symptom, but it doesn't have anything in cure. And that's why the complementary therapy, the Ayurvedic, homeopathic tends to have the better claims and better results with those generalized arthritis. Yeah, so yoga, pranayam, stress reduction, weight reduction, all these Ayurvedic treatment, probably works, and I've got nothing against that. So if you want to do something like that, my only suggestion is that whenever you're doing any other treatment, continue with your modern medicine treatment as well. Okay? So it doesn't really matter, even if you give credit to the Ayurvedic, it doesn't really matter, provided you don't stop that, because some of the conditions can get really worse if you don't treat them. So don't stop that and continue with the benefit with that. Okay, so right, arthritis in the hand can easily be treated, and it can usually, the commonest arthritis is at the base of your thumb, and that can be easily be treated with an injection. It can be with a physiotherapy, or you can have an operation, and that is something you don't need to live with this. So arthritis absolutely treatable. There is a tablet called glucosamine. The glucosamine is like a supplement to the body, and a lot of people take it. They claim very good result, because we got a long waiting list in Wales. So when people come to me, मैं कहूँ तुम्हारा GP के जगह बहुत तकलीफ चल रहा है, तो मैं शू करूँ? Some people say I tried glucosamine, some people say I tried turmeric. So maybe worth trying. There is no side effect glucosamine except for people with diabetes. Be careful, because it can bring the sugar up. But if you don't have diabetes, 1000 milligram of glucosamine. Look for the vegetarian one, because they come from the sea, or it can come from the vegetarian source. And glucosamine is probably very good for anybody who's got like mild arthritis. It is supposed to work. So that covers that. Okay. The knee replacement is definitely, if somebody's got a severe arthritis of the knee replacement works. The 95% success rate on that one. And so don't be hesitant. If somebody's life is just going to knee na karane madi kadu thatu nathi, and a severe arthritis say doctor kayu knee replacement karao ke nahi karao, you can definitely get it done. If you got any questions in particularly, I'm very happy for you to get number from Bhavna Ben, ring me and get a personal advice, કોઈ supporting a doctor શું કીધું છે શું નહીં, એ અમારો સ્ટાન્ડર્ડ જોક છે કે વોર્ડમાં ફોન વાગે છે તો નર્સ ફોન ઉપાડીને કહે છે કે હેલો વોર્ડ 31, તો પેલા બેન કહે છે સામે કહે છે કે can you tell me how Mr. Johnson is doing? Oh, he's doing very well, he'll be going home tomorrow. Who is speaking? Because this is Mr. Johnson, nobody tells me anything here. So that's what happens in NHS. When you come out, doctor has told you something and you're not very clear. Very happy for you to ring me and then get advice. I'm very happy for that. Okay, so we covered on that one. Okay, the yoga. The exercise, our exercise can be having 3 things. Okay, strength, stamina, and stretchability or suppleness. Right. So the stamina part comes in the cardiac thing, where you do this and your heart becomes, so those exercises are helping those. Then the second one will be strength, where they build the bodybuilding, they do the muscles and they become stronger. And third one is where you stretch your muscle joints and keep them mobile, because the joint get the nutrition when they move. The joints get the nutrition when they move. So When you move the joints, when you do the yoga, you are increasing your suppleness. So that helps you with all the elements of the arthritis and things like that. For osteoporosis, let's touch on that. The weight-bearing exercises are important. The exercise where people, આપણે આ ગરબા કરવાની tradition કરી છે ને જે, that is fantastic for osteoporosis. It really helps. એટલે તો every satsang you see, everything you do, આપણું ભક્તિનું કશું હોય એમાં they make and dance and ગરબા કરતા, that is very good for osteoporosis actually. Yeah, so I think those some of the traditions, as Mahendra said, parikrama has got the scientific basis and things like that. So that is good. The osteoporosis, unfortunately, is very difficult to reverse it back. Once it occurs, all you do is to stop is halt. Osteoporosis is never painful. કોઈ એવું કહે કે મને osteoporosis એના કારણે મને pain થાય છે. Pain doesn't happen. It is just fracture. Simple message. તમારા કોઈ ફેમિલીમાંથી કોઈ એલ્ડરલી ને કોઈને ફ્રેક્ચર નેક ઓફ ફીમર થયું હોય જે હિપનું અને જો એકને ઘરે મોકલે તો મેક શ્યોર that they are on some calcium and things like that to prevent the second side. Otherwise the second side fracture can occur within a couple of years time. So that is a simple message about osteoporosis. Anybody who has got early menopause, when menopause early aave, they are at higher risk of osteoporosis. So if any of the ladies or anybody in the family has got early menopause, then please be mindful and get some treatment for the osteoporosis. Very simple. Smoking, obviously not very common in our community, but that is one of the causes of osteoporosis. And the weight-bearing exercises certainly help. The question of veganism and avoiding the milk is the main source for our calcium. So if you're taking a vegan, then you do really need to find another source of calcium. And there are not many vegetarian sources of calcium without milk, cheese, butter. So then you probably need to look into the supplements. Because the fish would be another source, but we don't, obviously that won't come into picture. So if you are a vegan, then, right? Okay. So the treatment for the osteoporosis, whatever treatment they give once a week, once a month, thing like that, they're supposed to prevent the halt. The osteoporosis does not matter anyway, but what happens that you get fractures, and that is where the problem occurs. And that's why prevention of osteoporosis treatment is very important. So we covered that. Ayurvedic, okay. It's my view with the Ayurvedic is very open mind. તમે આફ્રિકા જઈને હમણાં કોઈને મોબાઈલ ફોન આપશો, they don't know how to work, but they know it works. You can speak to somebody on a phone. Same way, just because we can't explain doesn't mean that that is not right. So if you got a faith in Ayurvedic treatment, if you want to try that, is no harm in that. As I said, but don't get some monitoring done. I got a friend who had a rheumatoid arthritis. He wanted to do the Ayurvedic treatment done. So I said, look, check your ESR and CRP, અમારા અમુક માર્કર્સ હોય છે. માર્ક કરાવી લો હમણાં, તારી ટ્રીટમેન્ટ લઈને આવ અને તારા માર્કર જો ડાઉન થઈ ગયા હોય, તો I got no problem with that. That means the treatment has worked. But you need to have some sort of objective way of doing it. Otherwise, those healing things and things like that, unless and until you get objective, like, કોઈ કે તમારું cancer મટી ગયું, તો fine, you get scan done, second scan done, and if the cancer is gone, credit to that treatment. But if you don't get it checked, then you don't know. That's what I mean, simple. So get anything done Ayurvedic, but get your test done first, get the treatment, then you got to prove.
So, I take Yogesh Nathdwarawala.
That worked for you.
Yeah.
But then your pain is gone and your markers should come down. Otherwise what happens, that those diseases like a psoriasis or rheumatoid will continue destruction, and then ultimately you need an operation, which obviously is my job. But if you can prevent going down that route, that's why get those things done. Okay. So that's what I think I covered everything which was there onto the thing. Anybody has suffered with a heel pain? સવારના પરમાં ઉઠીને ઘણી વાર ચડતી વખતે, right? The heel pain is very common. And again, the simple stretching exercise with a towel, you pull it and then let it go, pull it and let it go, and that works. So simple treatment for the front of the knee pain and the heel pain, those simple exercises work. Okay.
So how do you do with the towel?
Okay, well I'll show you. So basically, you take a dupatta or towel, you lie down, and then you just put it around the foot. Yeah, sure. So you put your foot obviously on the ground, and then you just pull it like that, and then you count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then let it go. Then pull it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let it go. And you do about 30 times. Now 30 sounds quite a lot, but when you pull it for count to 10 is 7 seconds. So 30 is 210 seconds, 3.5 minutes. The day you do the exercise, you make a cross in the calendar. The day you don't do the exercise, don't make a cross. So your mind gets focused. My guarantee is if you got one after one cross for 15 days, your heel pain will go. At least 90% success rate on this group. So plantar fasciitis is the commonest cause of heel pain. Simple exercise. Same way with the knee as well. I said, do it for 3 or 4 minutes every day. And that's it. Yeah, stretching the back.
Keep your legs straight.
Yeah, so basically, chair હોય કે stairs હોય કે તમે કહે છે ને તમારી હાઈટ તમે નક્કી કરો તમારી કેટલું શરૂઆતમાં એટલે હું stairs is the best તમે બે પગ ચાલુ કરો ત્રણ પર જાઓ okay and you stretch it you feel the stretch in the back
You just stretch.
yeah and then you count to 10 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 then let go
It's simple.
simple 1 2 3 and tighten your kneecap and stretch your back
How many times a day?
I would say about do it about 30 times. Now 30 times will take about 3.5 minutes, 4 and 4 minutes. And you do it.
Walking is a very common thing.
Yeah, once in a day is good enough. And તમે પછી બે સ્ટેપ થી તમને comfortable લાગે ને to go to the third step. Then you go to fourth step, And then when you are really like that, you are like those Russian dancers. You try. તમને ખબર પડશે કે તમારા hamstring કેટલા tight છે. People don't realize that. You try to do it on a second step or third step and you realize it's very tight છે. And gently stretch it and over the time it will work. Okay, so I think I covered all the things which you have put it on this one. Any other questions?
Sorry, coming back to my question with the dairy products, what about if we compare it with the plant-based milk, like oat milk?
Check the calcium. Basically, you need to look at what is the calcium because everything is written nowadays. So you require, your daily requirement of calcium. But you look at IDA, your daily requirement, percentage. So you need to have. Yeah, so it's fine. But otherwise, take supplements. It's no harm in taking some supplement for the calcium and vitamin D. Vitamin D is very common. 80% of the people would be deficient in vitamin D. So make sure that if you are feeling tired and get your vitamin D checked. I got my vitamin D level checked and it was very low. So we started on vitamin D treatment and go to India a few times.
That's what I was told by my consultant.
Yeah, so sometimes people say that you've got more gluten in your diet and that can absorb all water and things like that. But that is only very specific number of people, not for everyone. So I don't, there's any evidence to say that your diet che, problem che.
Unless it's intolerance.
Yeah, it's for intolerant people.
Plus high in carbohydrates. It's high in carbohydrates.
Yeah, it is high in carbohydrate, but that at the same time it is still a very healthy diet. Our diet of dal which gives you protein, the rice which gives you carbohydrate, roti and then vegetable is probably one of the most balanced diets we can think of. And then kathod add kari do, I think it becomes a really good healthy diet.
Portions.
Actually, portion control.
And try to have some sort of fasting routine, whether you believe, kahi de कि आप फास्टिंग मंगल में करते हैं तुम्हारा मंगल सारो થઈ જશે તો બધું ફાસ્ટિંગ શનિવાર છે તમારા શનિવાર નડે છે શનિ ભગવાન કોઈ નડતા નથી obviously once you tell that and if you do that it works.
That's psychology,
Just on fruits?
Yeah, fasting means you need to reduce your calorie level. 600 calories की વધારે તમે લો that is not fasting. That's gone. So you can count how you take the calories.
ફરાળનો કલેક્શન છે ને
Why did you do fasting girl? So you want to survive
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I'll just finish with one spiritual joke. So that means, So this man was driving his car. No, a man was driving his car and he was very stressed out because he had an interview and he can't find parking, which you can understand. It happens here in London quite a lot. He was looking for parking and he was getting late for the interview. Ultimately, he just called the કૃષ્ણ ભગવાન પ્લીઝ 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 મને પાર્કિંગ આપી દો, મારે ઇન્ટરવ્યુ છે, મને બહુ મોડું થાય છે, હું દર અઠવાડિયે ભાવનાબેનના સત્સંગમાં જઈશ, હું દરરોજ ભગવાનનો પાઠ કરીશ, હું મંદિર જઈશ, 11 કરીશ, મને પ્લીઝ 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 ભગવાન પાર્કિંગ આપી દો. And suddenly, miraculously, he suddenly saw the parking on the right side. So he indicates, he turns that, and ઉપર જોઈને કે never mind, I found one. That's what we do. Okay. Lalit Soda is a chiropractor, and Lalit Soda does some wonders with all the joints, all the body, the posture, and the thing which because I do the operation, but I think it's sometimes it's the last stage, and you try to prevent. Although I'm an operator surgeon, allowed to operate, but I say that if you can avoid the operations on your neck, your back, on your joints, it is a lot better. So Lalit Bhai is a person who would teach you how to look after your posture, how to look after your bones, how to look after your joints, your neck and back. And I think there's a lot more with the chiropractor treatment because it helps your body to heal itself. So I think Lalit Bhai probably would be able to the most helpful talk probably from all of us you find. So please put your hands together for Lalit Soda.
Yogesh bhai, thank you very much for this wonderful introduction. So I must say, in the morning, some people saw me in a very different capacity when I was talking, and some of them are here. Probably didn't even know what I do. So I'm a chiropractor by profession. My morning is my part-time job. It's not a job, it's a hobby. So I was lecturing at the Haveli this morning on Vittal Nathji. So that is my passion. My passion is Pushti Marg. Hence the connection with Bhavna. So before we go ahead, I just thought કે બધા ઠાકોરજી લઈને જોક મારે છે તો પછી હું કેમ રહી જાઉં. એટલે આપણે વિચાર કરીએ કે આપણા પુષ્ટિ માર્ગમાં ઠાકોરજીને જ્યારે બધી સામગ્રી ધરાવે છે ત્યારે એક્સ્ટ્રા ખાંડ નાખી દે, ગળી વધારે બનાવે, બરાબર ને? કે ઠાકોરજીને બહુ ભાવે છે. પછી ઘરે બનતી હોય તો કે ઓ ઠાકોરજી માટે બને છે, હવે સામગ્રી કરી ધરાવી લીધો, પ્રસાદ કોણ ખાશે તો હું ખાઈ લઉં. તો એમાં ખાંડ આપણામાં વધારે આવી ગઈ. પણ આપણે એ સામગ્રી લીધી, પણ કૃષ્ણ ભગવાનની સ્માર્ટનેસ તમે જુઓ. રોજ રાતે ગોપીઓને રાસ રમાડતા કે નહીં? એટલે રાસમાં એક્સરસાઇઝ થઈ જતી, એટલે ગોપીઓને બધું પચી જતું. જો આપણે રોજ રાતના રાસ કરવાના હોય અને મહાપ્રભુજીએ કીધું એમ પરિક્રમા કરવાના હોય ગિરિરાજની, તો તમારે જેટલી ગળી મીઠાઈ ખાવી એટલી ખાવ, તમારી શુગર પડી જશે. પણ મહાપ્રભુજીના સિદ્ધાંત ફોલો કરશો તો શુગર ઘટશે, પરિક્રમા કરશો તો ઘટશે, અને શ્રી ઠાકોરજી સાથે રાસલીલા કરશો તો ઘટશે. And on that note, I want to say thank you very much to Bhavna Ben for inviting me here today. She has been a connected Vallabh Pushti Margya Vaishnav devotee, and that's how we have connected. The amount of assistance maybe she thinks she didn't give me, but she did, was amazing. Because South India માં કોઈને જઈ અને મળવું અને બેઠકમાં જાવું, જે બેઠક હજી આપણી ખુલી પણ નથી મુકાણી, it was thanks to Bhavna Ben. She suggested Ani Yadunath Baba, my God, it was due to his blessings too. So my humble obeisances to Yadunath Baba and Dandat Pranam also to Bhavna Ben for making my journey possible to go to this Betak at the UNESCO international site, which I believe they are going to be opening up in February of 2021, the Betak at Hampi. So an amazing sight to see. And my connection with Bhavna Ben developed very much after that, because out of nowhere I'm just another ordinary human being, and she considered me to be lucky enough to be going there and doing the darshan. So Bhavna Ben, I'll never forget that. Thank you so much. And to Yadunath Baba, because he made it possible for me too. And I'm very proud to say here my ego goes a bit high, that I'm probably the only first Vaishnav who went to the Hampi Betak and did the Dhoti Uparna there. So for that, I get credit to Yadunath Baba and to Bhavna Ben, and I take the privilege of doing it.
I think think I bought your dhoti upanas.
Yes, you did. And she actually brought the dhoti upanas for me from Vraj over here so I could take it to Hampi. So see how the Lord connects everything. Yeah? And that's what I believe, that today the topic that we're going to be talking about is going to connect us in a different way. So first of all, I'm going to come out because I don't like a barrier in front of me when I'm talking. Yeah. So I'm going to be talking from here and probably lean on the table, and the table will probably take a bit of a fall, will it? No. So that's good. So before we start, how many of us know what chiropractic is? Unless you have a frozen shoulder. So actually, may I say, some of you who are sitting here are my patients, and if you don't tell me what chiropractic is, then tum satyanas thai gyo. Manipulation of the bones, that's correct. What else?
Dislocation of the spine.
So dislocation thayu hai and hame locate kari de, dislocate na kari na. So location of the spine. Okay, so manipulation of the spine, yes. Balancing of the body, yes.
Degeneration of bones.
Spine is the main thing, yes.
It's not degeneration of bones, is it?
Chiropractic is not degeneration of the bones, no. But we help with degeneration, which apna Yogesh bhai hamna kido arthritis. That is to a certain extent degeneration of your bones and your joints. Yeah. So we treat patients who get trapped. So a general consensus, badane thodi khabar che ke what chiropractic is. But let me give you a very simple definition. Yeah, chiro means hands, practice means practice. It's a hands-on practice that we treat the spine with. Yeah, the spine is the most important part of your body. Yeah, હવે બીજું તમને ગુજરાતીમાં ટ્રાન્સલેશન કહીશ ને હું થોડુંક મારા પ્રોફેશનને ડીવેલ્યુ કરી નાખીશ પણ આપણે કરીએ જોક થોડુંક બધા જોક મારે તો હું મારા પ્રોફેશનને જોક મારી દઉં આપણે એમ કહીએ કે ઇન્ડિયામાં જે હાર્ડ વેદ હતા બોર્ન સેટર્સ હતા એ લોકોને એ જે દીક્ષા મળી હોય the people who can actually manipulate the bones, yeah, they learned it from their generation ancestors માં હતું ને અમે કરીએ ને થાય છે બધું. ક્યાંક પછી એમાં કોકને સ્ટ્રોક આવી જતા કોક બિચારા મરી જાય મેનિપ્યુલેશનમાં. That is not the kind of manipulation we are talking about. Yeah, but that's the hard way જે આપણે ઇન્ડિયામાં કહીએ કે bone setters છે. That is to a certain extent what chiropractic is, the art. The science of chiropractic is where we have had a formal education. આ બધા જે આપણે વાણંદ પાસે જઈને આપણી નેક હલાવી નાખે, that is not a good idea. કે તમે જુઓ ચોપાટી ઉપર જઈને તમે કહો ઓલાને કે કર જમ્પીને ફેરવી નાખ મારી નેક. That is not a good idea. Yeah? So what chiropractic is similar where we adjust the joints, but what we do is we have a scientific basis of when we should do it and when we should not do it. So part of our training is to actually dissect the whole human body, to know what the spine is all about, what the brain is all about. So the Canadian College of Chiropractors in Toronto, which is in affiliation with University of Toronto, that's where I studied. Not all chiropractic colleges do human dissections, whereas we have actually dissected the whole human body from head to toe. So if I lift a brain, મને cauliflower જેવું લાગે. હવે cauliflower ખાવાનું બંધ નહીં કરી નાખે. It's a very similar, isn't it? There you go. Yeah, it looks like a brown cauliflower જેના mold થઈ ગયો છે. Walnut. Yeah, તો હવે બધા walnut ખાવાનું બંધ કરી.
Walnut is important.
Yeah, so you can tell the whole human body. And I'm not being egoistic about this, but I can feel your spine with my eyes closed, and I can tell you what level I am at, what muscle I'm touching, what bone I'm touching, and what the nerves, where they go. Yeah? So that's the kind of academic education one has to go through to actually become a chiropractor. Then we have to learn the art of manipulation. Yeah? And that comes from developing what we call sensation in your fingertips. The way the surgeon's hands work to chop a body open, you would know it doesn't happen right away. It's a lot of practice that you do, and you learn the art of surgery. Similarly, we learn the art of manipulation. And that is what the training takes. It's a 5-year full-time training program that we study with. We study and get a degree in Doctors of Chiropractic. It's called DC. Yeah, so that's the, if you see the DC behind my name, that is what it's called, Doctor of Chiropractic. So that's a little bit about our education and everything. So what are the most common conditions that we treat? અહીંયા આપણે બે ત્રણ nerve દબાઈ ગઈ હોય, joint irritation હોય. So most commonly we get patients who suffer from back pain and neck pain. Yeah, most common presentation is back pain, where a lot of times they have gone to the GP have prescribed them painkillers and non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, like આપણે કહીએ બધા આવીને કહે અમે બ્રૂફ ખાય છે, બ્રૂફ, yeah, they mean brufen. એટલે બ્રૂફેન બધા ibuprofen ખાઈ લીધી પછી ઓલી કોડોમોલ કરતા હોય, yeah, it's called કોડોમોલ. So you know કે આ બધી દવાઓ અમને આપેલી છે, they haven't worked, and non-steroidal anti-inflammatories haven't worked, and then we think, okay, what else is going on? So તમે જ્યારે પણ first visit કોઈ chiropractor પાસે જાશો, they'll sit down and take your history, find out what has gone on. Yeah, then we go through a very thorough examination. Now this is where it is vitally important where you go. The chiropractor you go to has to be registered, because when they're registered, they're fully qualified. They can't otherwise be practicing as chiropractors. So unless you check the register of the General Chiropractic Council, okay, they're registered, so you know who you go to is a legitimate chiropractor, is qualified, they're going to do what they should be doing. Yeah? So when you come, we go through this. Then we go through a relatively thorough, what we would call an orthopedic neurological examination. See, we put the joints through some orthopedic tests, we do some basic neurological testing, tamara reflexes, sensation, and then what we do, I think the sound's coming there, right? I'm going to move on this side. I'm getting echo from that. Yeah, so what happens is when we do the reflexes, we do some sensation, hot and cold, કે ક્યાંથી nerveનું pressure આવે છે, ક્યાં sensation નથી, muscle strength, and then there are some chiropractic tests we would do. And then not all clinics have the facility to x-ray. Yeah? So if you can, find a place that can x-ray. Because તમે National Health Service ને એટલું burden આપશો, તો you would be on a long waiting list and unnecessarily taking up a spot where some emergency may need it. So sometimes you just have to bite the bullet, and in this day and age, National Health Service does a lot for the patients. Unfortunately, the system is overburdened. So sometimes you have to put your hand in your pocket and say, I'll spend it for myself. It's an investment in your own health. So you look at it, X-ray karavi liyo. We would take an X-ray at the clinic. We have a scanning device, which I'll use one example here so that you can see what we do. And based on the history findings, on the examination findings, on the X-ray findings, and the little scanning device that we have, we come up to a diagnosis. Based on the diagnosis, we'll recommend a course of treatment. Now, I would say if it is generally a mechanical problem, if the vertebrae are out of alignment, as you were talking dislocation, not quite the right term, but out of alignment, most of the conditions would respond well. I was very intrigued, not intrigued, but very pleasantly having a good conversation with Kalyaniben before we started. How do we help patients who actually have, what type of a headache did you say? Cervicogenic. Headache coming from your neck. Yeah, how do we treat that? So if the alternative, the painkillers haven't worked, anti-inflammatories haven't worked, then what do we do? Well, I was just explaining to her how we would go ahead, examine the condition, and then actually physically manipulate that area. So no, it's not that bad. No. That was આપણે કંઈ ખાટું ખાઈ લીધું ને ન ભાવ્યું એવો ટેસ્ટ થઈ ગયો આપણો. That is why, no. So physical manipulation is not that bad. Some people have this concept. આપણે અત્યારે verification મળી ગઈ છે કે clicking is not a bad thing. Yogesh, I'm going to use you there.
There's no evidence. Absolutely, there are lots of evidence.
So manipulating the joint done correctly, and I stress the fact it should be done correctly with the underlying tests that negate કે આનું કોઈ એક contraindication નથી. Then you go ahead and do the treatment and it works really well. Yeah, and to a great extent, I will also say this puts the pharmaceutical industry a little bit. કે આપણે જેટલું chemicals આપણી બોડીમાં નાખશું, એનો effect આપણી બોડીમાં શું થવાનું. So where you can help and avoid taking that, you should. But where it is necessary, you have to. So by doing the spinal manipulation, that is what we do. It's an art of adjusting and physically aligning your spine so that your nervous system functions properly. and your bones function properly. We as chiropractors believe that if muscle system, bone system, and the nervous system are functioning optimally, then you've got almost optimum health. Yeah? પછી ગમે તેટલી રાસલીલા કરો, ગમે તેટલી મિઠાઈ ખાઓ, તમારી બોડી જો હેલ્ધી રહેશે, તમારું હાઉસ જો અંદરથી હેલ્ધી હશે, તો you'll be able to serve Thakurji in a nice way. So on that note, I'll just end my little conversation on what chiropractic is and what we do, but I would love to entertain some questions if I can. So, open.
My mom, as she's getting older, why do they sort of, the shape of the spinal cord changes, isn't it?
Yes.
Because of the age. So I was always asking her to walk straight, and she's always walking like this all the time.
So a few things happening, yeah? How old is she?
80.
80. So આપણી જ્યારે age થશે ત્યારે our body has, none of us are immortal. Everything that is born is going to grow and it is going to die at one point in time. The process of birth to death is guaranteed. In between is the alphabet called C, the choice we make. Yeah? The choice we make of a lifestyle. But to answer your question, what lifestyle did we do? What lifestyle did we have? And what do we choose to do? So sometimes as the body ages, the muscles weaken. As the body ages, we talked about topics like osteoporosis, bones weaken. The structure of your body weakens, and as the structure weakens, so does the posture go. Yeah? આપણે એક જ એક્ઝામ્પલ લઈએ, આપણે ઘરે કોઈ મની પ્લાન્ટ વાવેલી હોય કે કોઈ પણ પ્લાન્ટ વાવેલું હોય અને એ પ્લાન્ટની જ્યારે ડ્રાય થવા માંડે, એજ થઈ ગઈ હોય, ત્યારે ઇટ સ્ટાર્ટ્સ વિલ્ટિંગ. યા? તો એ પ્લાન્ટ નમી જાય છે. તો એમ જ આપણી બોડી પણ જ્યારે એની એજ થાય છે ત્યારે there is just so much our body can take. So part of it is the aging process, part of it is the lifestyle we've had, and part of it is lack of exercise. Now mothers of the ages of 80, 75, 80 never probably thought कि मारे आटली exercise करवी जोई तो आगर जाता मारी body healthy रहसे. All they have done is serve their family.
Yes.
Yeah, should we agree to that? So the lifestyle makes a big difference. And then a lot of factors come in. The genetics come in, the deterioration of the body comes in, other diseases they are going through. Like તમે જોશો કોઈને પણ જ્યારે COPD એટલે લંગનો કન્ડિશન હશે કે બ્રીથ નહીં કરી શકતા, એ લોકો થોડા વાંકા વળી ગયા હશે. Yeah? And the other thing is the natural deterioration of the spine will cause that curve to happen. Because of osteoporosis, the bones will thin, and that's when you have a problem.
So what can she do?
So a lot of things is reminders, yeah? કે આપણે સરખા પોસ્ચરમાં કરીએ, બની શકે તો જેટલી એમ્બ્યુલેશન એટલે આપણે એક્ટિવિટી કરી શકતા હોય એટલું કરીએ. હવે ઘણાને એમ થાય ઓ મને કાંઈ સપોર્ટ પહેરવો છે, હવે 80 તમે એની એક્સરસાઇઝ કરશો તો એ બિચારાના મસલ્સ કેટલા સ્ટ્રોંગ થશે. So a little bit of nagging is okay, but a lot of it is how else can we help. So તમે થોડુંક મસાજ કરાવી અને એમના મસલ્સ થોડાક લૂઝ થાય તો she'll feel straighter. Oftentimes people recommend કે thoracic support મળે. But a support there is one and two questions. Yeah, the question is કે કેવું લેવું, then you go to talk to a specific person, get the patient seen. Secondly, support પહેરવાથી તમને harm છે કે no harm. So જેટલી વાર પહેર્યું હશે એટલી વાર તમારો straight posture રહેશે. જેવું તમે કાઢશો, so it's go back to square one. So that is the thing કે તમે 2-3 કલાક પહેર્યું, wear it, but don't wear it the whole day. Because your muscles are holding your spine the way they should. હવે તમે મસલ્સને હોલ્ડ નહીં કરવા દો અને સપોર્ટ પહેરી લેશો તો that spine will get even more weaker. Yeah? So advice on little bit of exercise, little bit of support, little bit of massage, and then you can actually opt for any other kind of sort of relaxation treatments કે તમે થોડુંક stretching કરીને એમને કહો કે હાથ ઊંચા કરીને ઊભા રહીએ કે if she is holding on to something where her body can stretch down. So things like that. Yes.
I will back for it, but then I will osteoporosis, not this problem, not because because I'm guessing that.
In case we break your bones.
Yeah, I mean.
Very good answer and very good question. એટલે તમને જેણે પણ એડવાઇસ આપી that is very good કે with weaker bones should you go to a chiropractor or not? My recommendation is of course yes. So here you got to watch what the chiropractor does. હવે તમે સપોઝિંગ તમે આવ્યા, you've got a younger healthy body, I will be able to manipulate your body. તમે આવ્યા and I find out you're osteoporotic, I've got your test results and I see, oh my god, this spine, I can't do what I normally do. So you've got to change your treatment. There are a lot of variations in chiropractic treatment also. It all doesn't have to be the clicking, the clunking of the bone. Yeah, simple mobilizing techniques. There are a lot of gadgets that have come out which very gently will give the pressure on a vibration basis specifically to a joint to help the movement of the joint. It doesn't have to be what we call a high velocity. એટલે આપણે પુશ કરીને જે આપણે એમ કહીએ મણકો સરખો બેસાડી દીધો, કદાચ તમારો મણકો બેસશે નહીં, પાવડર થઈ જશે, તો પછી આપણે શું કરશું? So we don't use that technique. We use another technique. So TENS machine is what we would call a modality. What it means is transcutaneous electrical nerve stimulation. That's what TENS means, yeah? એ જે તમારી superficial nerves હોય એને stimulate કરે અને એનું pain જે pathway હોય એ block કરી દે. So એનાથી તમને દુખાવો થોડીક વાર ઓછો રહેશે. But it's a superficial thing and it is not a permanent cure, but it is a gadget you can use.
I was down the stairs long time back.
Yes.
From top to bottom, damaged my coccyx.
Yes.
And then my nerves were cracked.
Yes.
The surgeon said you have to go for the operation, but they said 50-50 chances. I didn't go for the operation, but I couldn't. બહુ પેરેલાઇઝ થઈ ગઈ આખી.
ઓકે, તો તમે એટલા વખત શું કર્યું?
તે બધી ટ્રીટમેન્ટ કરી પણ પછી અમારી નેક મારે પકડી રાખવી પડે જ્યારે બહુ બેસું ને ત્યારે.
So તમે પડ્યા ત્યારે you were hurt from neck down to your lower back?
So my nerves cracked.
અને કેટલા વર્ષ થયા?
Since 1983.
1983. So look at this, she fell and in her own faith she took her health in her own hands. ઓકે, જ્યાં ફ્રેક્ચર થયું હશે ને ત્યાં તમને જ્યારે એ લોકોએ સર્જરી રેકમેન્ડ કરી ત્યારે ફ્રેક્ચર થયું હતું સ્પાઇનમાં ક્યાં? ડેમેજ જ થયું હતું. સો સમટાઇમ્સ યુ નો સર્જિકલી એટ ધેટ ટાઈમ મે થિંક કે ઓ સર્જરી ઇઝ ધી આન્સર, પણ વેન દેટ ઇઝ ધી આન્સર, દેટ ઇઝ વોટ ઇઝ નીડેડ. હવે તમે ન કરીને આટલા વર્ષ નીકળી ગયા, યુ આર લિવિંગ ક્વાઇટ નાઇસલી. વિથ સર્જરી ઓબ્વિયસલી બોથ સર્જન સિટિંગ હિયર વિલ ટેલ યુ કે ઇટ્સ અ હાઈ રિસ્ક, સ્પેશિયલી સ્પાઇનલ સર્જરી. Yeah, હાર્ટથી આપણી લાઈફ એક્સટેન્ડ થઈ જશે સર્જરીથી, પણ સ્પાઇનલ સર્જરી ઇઝ અ વેરી there is high risk. Though I will say one thing, depending on what you're having surgery for. અત્યારે technology has advanced so much. પહેલા when they used to cut your back open, અત્યારે a lot of disc surgeries are done just by laser. Yeah, કે minimal invasion. Yeah, and it depends on obviously your condition, કે ચલો surgery નથી કરી પણ તોય you have continued living and caring. There was a 50% chance that it would have gone wrong.
But the thing is, I always fall down. That's the problem. I don't have sometimes
balance તમારું ઓછું થઈ ગયું હશે. Yeah. So see, one effect of trauma to our body is જે આપણા balance receptors હોય એ receptors function ન કરતા હોય. અમુક ટાઈમે permanent damage થઈ ગયો હોય એમાં, અમુક ટાઈમે it's a short term damage. So the fact that you are not balanced, તે તમારા receptors છે, તમારું nerve supply to the joint, to the muscle that you know because of the trauma. Yeah, your body weakens, gets a shock through the trauma. So it's not a 100% functioning body. So symptoms like balance and off balance and fall, symptoms of extreme fatigue. Yeah, and unfortunately તમારી બોડીમાં જ્યારે આવી રીતે ટ્રોમા થાય તો તમારાથી એક્સરસાઇઝ ન થાય. So then other complications arise. So this is where you take your health in your hands and see whatever best you can do. Yeah, whatever mobility you can do, whatever. With this, you might be able to go to the swimming pool and do water exercises, and you help yourself doing that. Any other question? Yes.
My mother, she's just been diagnosed with trigger finger.
Yes.
She's doing acupuncture. I don't know whether it's benefiting her or not. She's just started. Would it be advisable for her to see a chiropractor?
So do we understand trigger finger? The question trigger finger che apni angri hoy, usually it's this finger or whichever, it is the ring finger, isn't it? So it gets locked in this position, પછી lock થઈ જાય. Yeah, and આ જે બે bones ને connect કરતા હોય, ligaments ને tendons જે હોય, they have tightened, they have hardened, they have lost their what we call elasticity to function the way it normally should. Yeah. So trigger finger ena karane thaya and sometimes just by stretching, by exercising, if it's very early stages, it can help. Acupuncture needles is obviously trying to do that in their philosophy is how it works. To come to a chiropractor, I would say, depending on the extent or the stage the trigger finger is at, sometimes finger joint manipulation and just home exercises would be a good thing to do.
They strongly suggested, because of her age being 86, not to have the steroid injections or the operation that they put here because it's to do with the nerves. They said don't do it because right now it's not that bad.
So my question to you is it trigger finger or is it carpal tunnel syndrome? Because if you're talking about operation here, that would be more on the carpal tunnel.
I'm trying to do my investigation on both of these things that you just said, harmful thing and the trigger. But they've just said it's trigger finger. And I'm like thinking, I don't know if it's trigger finger or not.
Get another opinion. Find out what the right condition is, whether it is trigger finger or whether it's carpal tunnel. At the age of 86, you know, healing time at that takes a long time. So sometimes if it's just, even if it is a triggered finger, can you live with it? Is the question I would ask. Or do you want to put the mother through that little agony of surgery, whether it's at the wrist or whatever the condition is?
Gladly take the operation and everything.
Okay.
But we're saying it's not.
Okay, so my recommendation is find out what the condition is and then discuss the pros and cons of it. Whether it's a trigger finger or whether it's carpal tunnel.
But they can do tests to see this.
Of course, yes. Yes. I think time is fast running. I'll take one more question and then we'll probably, go ahead.
Okay, yes. My doctor say maybe I have a carpal tunnel.
Yes.
So do I have to do operation or cardio can help me? Because before it was a little bit, but now middle of the night I wake up and my it's a feel numbness and pain.
Okay.
And now these days I can't hold the needles and stuff, small things, because it's feel numbness. And
So carpal tunnel is basically entrapment of a nerve. જ્યાં nerve આપણા wrist bones માં અંદરથી trap થઈ જાય ત્યારે it's called the median nerve and that gets trapped and that's what gives you the symptoms. Initially the tunnel it just may be કે આપણા wrist માં there are little 8 bones. Yeah, they may have somehow irritated their position and trap a nerve. Then chiropractic is something that we can do manipulation before we would x-ray and check it out. Otherwise, if the tunnel itself has got some solidifying thickening of the ligament, the tendon, and that doesn't let the nerve go by properly, then that might require surgery. So I would say proper diagnosis before you think it's manipulation or surgery. Last question.
How about a herniated disc in L4,
So what about it?
Do you, can you sort it in physio or stretching?
Again, so the question is L5 bottom disc is herniated, can we help it? Again, it depends on what the MRI will show, how bad the herniation is. Minor disc bulges, minor herniations can definitely be helped without any invasive surgery, but if the disc is totally bulging out, then unfortunately it may require surgery. But it all depends on the extent of the symptoms, how badly it's affecting the patient, and how badly it shows up on the MRI. If you are having symptoms, a disc bulge taking and your bowel and bladder function is going, well, emergency surgery. Absolutely.
Cordyceps is a condition where, it's like a horse's tail. So that's where all the nerves which supply your legs. So if they are being compromised because of the disc pressing on that, it can affect your bladder and bowel as you mentioned.
And that would
so that becomes an emergency surgery.
The minor bulge can always get better with the exercise.
Absolutely. And where we would do is we would check the spine, we would give it a good alignment and a course of exercises with it, and then that would definitely help.
What about the disc drying?
Drying of the disc is not a big problem. It's very common with aging. So, but physiotherapy and exercise is definitely good.
Chiropractor.
Good. Thank you very much for listening to me. I appreciate this. Thank you, Dharmadan, and thank you to all these people who have had an amazing talk before I did. So I'm glad I got into the jokes line. Thank you very much. So I'm going to introduce you to a wonderful lady here. Yes.
I just wanted to say, just a 30-second thing about the surgery. Because this is a common thing I find into the Asian population. They are all worried about the surgery. Okay? Because they told me the 50-50, they told me complication. Tame car leva jaso ne, they're going to sell you the car, how fast it is. They're not going to tell you kya car is going to kill you, it can kill you on the road, it can cause you the accident. You go to the plane ticket, they'll give you the ticket, travel agent will not going to tell you. They don't tell you. Unfortunately, in surgery, we have to tell you all that. So you come to me with a carpal tunnel, I have to tell you all the complications. But 95% success rate on carpal. Knee replacement, 90% success rate. I will tell you all the complications. So when surgeon tells you the complication, look at it with the way, what is the percentage of that complication and what is the benefit. If you are in early stage, if it is manageable. For an 86-year-old woman who can't use her right hand because of the carpal tunnel, and if you get a surgery and she can do her independence back, I think it's a wonderful thing. 86 is not a problem. So look at the benefit, look at the risk, and don't be afraid. After a surgery, they are just very afraid because of complications. Please, just consider that in a balanced way. That's the only request I make.
Sorry, can I just a comment? I mean, these are surgeons. So before you see the surgeons, you have to talk to a physician. So the physician would rule out medical causes for the carpal tunnel being compressed. It could be low functioning thyroid, hypothyroidism, diabetes, cholesterol. So if you correct the cause of it, your symptoms will improve. Even wearing a strap, wrist support, all pharmacies have it. That will take care of it. Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, I know it's time so because I had the diagnosis of lupus.
Yeah.
But my lupus is slipping now, so they said all of the stiffness, joint pain was connected.
But are you on hydroxychloroquine or steroids?
I don't think so.
So it's probably remitted, but are they keeping an eye on it?
They stopped my medication at the moment because their lupus is slipping. I was on
Yeah.
MMF for 8-9 years.
Right, okay, yeah. So I mean, these are the medical causes that may be causing your problems. So you have to look at it as a whole before actually, but surgery results are very good because it's just a small nick and they just remove the pressure. But before you reach to the surgeon, obviously other things have to be ruled out.
So the main thing is get your information right. Yeah, જ્યારે આપણે ખાતા હશું તો બધું ingredients વાંચી લેશું કે આ ખાશું તો ઓલું થશે આ ખાશું તો ઓલું થશે. So get your basic information down before you make the and then get to opinions. This is the reason why you are here today at the Pushti Parivar UK seminar, where you can probably have easy access to all of us. If you have any issues, just ask, get another opinion.
And don't Google.
Yeah. Google is a killer. Okay. On that note, we have a lovely lady sitting next to us whose name is Kripa Gudhka. And how many of you have actually, and I'm sure most of you will have received a WhatsApp message saying, save Veer. He needs a stem cell thing. He needs a stem cell, Veer. Do you remember that little boy who comes on that WhatsApp message?
Yes.
Whether it's a WhatsApp message or a Facebook message or Instagram or any social media platform, well, this happens to be Veer's mother. Okay? And she is going to share her little story. What does it say? We delete blood cancer? Wow. Isn't that an amazing topic? Yeah. So without any delay, we would love to hear from Kripa, Veer's mother.
Thank you. Thank you, Pushti Parivar and Kalyaniben for allowing me 5 minutes here to talk to you all. As you rightly said, I'm Veer's mum, and it's nice to hear that people have heard about his story. And I'm here just to raise awareness, really, about stem cell donation. When people hear the word stem cell transplant, you probably think it's quite scary, but actually it's really not. So Veer, he's only 3 years old, and he's been diagnosed with a condition called Fanconi anemia. So this just means that his bone marrow is not functioning very well, so he's not producing the stem cells you need to make your blood. So his blood counts are very, very low, and eventually he will need a transplant of his stem cells. So for that, all we need is to find someone who's matching him. So his sister wasn't a match, no one in our family is a match, so we need to find someone, a generous person, to donate stem cells for him. Now, for this, obviously it sounds scary, but the task is very simple. All you need to do today, if you wish to, if you're below the age of 55, you can donate your stem cells and to test if you're a match for Veer, but not just for Veer, anyone who needs it. You just need to do a cheek swab, so just get a swab, rub it inside your cheek, and we'll send it off to DKMS, the charity, and if you are a match for Veer or anyone else, you'll get contacted. So it's a really simple process to register. You don't need to take your blood, nothing like that. It's very simple. And then, if you are a match for someone, what you would do is, there's two methods. In 90% of the cases, all you need to do is they take some of your blood, take the stem cells out of that, and put your blood back in you. Very simple. You're in and out in one day, and those stem cells will help lots of people. People with leukemia, or like Veer with Fanconi anemia, and you can help change their lives. And my son is only 3 years old, and he needs that one person who will be a match for him. So if you have the time today, it takes 5 minutes. In some cases, you might have to be admitted into hospital for a couple of days, where they will take the stem cells from your hip bone in a needle. And again, you might feel a little bit of pain for 2-3 days, and then you're back to normal. You don't lose anything, and it's a really easy way to save lives. And the issue that Veer has, they've searched the millions of people that are on the register, not one of them is a match for him. And the reason that is because there's not enough Asians on this register. It's a global register, so you have the opportunity to help people across the world, and it doesn't really take much. It's very simple, and this is somewhere where we can make a difference, right? So the 2% of the UK population are registered. Out of that, the number of Asians is very small. So we are trying to raise awareness and trying to get more Asians on this register to help people like Veer. So please just spare 5 minutes today. If you're under the age of 55 and relatively good health, come and visit us. We're just here. So thank you.
Why under the age of 55? Why not over?
Unfortunately, the younger you are, the better donor you make. Okay. And you have less health conditions. So for the person that needs it, then it's more likely to be successful.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so the next speaker we have is an amazing lady, and with her son who's unfortunately unable to be here today. However, what they are going to be talking about is brain abilities. How many of you exercise your muscles? We do. Yeah? Do you exercise your brain muscles? We hardly do.
How do you do it?
How do you do it? Well, that's what she's going to tell us. Eh? So, this is going to be Sudoku. Sudoku. Sudoku brain joke. Okay, so Sudoku karine we can increase our brain muscles. But you know what? This is an amazing thing that is so new. Well, it's not that new, but it's new in England. It's been well tested, and improvement for children. And I'm going to let Sonal share her story, because that's her story to share. But the amazing improvement that youngsters have had in developing their brain capacity, their cognitive thinking process, is what they deal with. Yeah. So without you delay again, Sonal, I'll let you share your story, because listen to her. This is mind blowing. Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you so much. It's a very generous introduction. Okay.
It's all true.
Okay, so as Lalit said, I'm Sonal. I'm representing Shami Kapoor. He's my son. I'm really sorry, but due to an unforeseen situation, he couldn't be here today. I'm going to tell you about our brain training journey, and hope that you learn something new today about the power of the brain, and walk away with the belief that there truly are no limits, okay? The idea is to raise awareness and highlight possibilities, okay? I'm going to ask some questions and then I'm going to take you on a little journey, if that's okay, and then I'll go on to telling you about the research behind our product and also our own results, okay? So how many of you know someone who has suffered a stroke or had a brain injury that's affected their mental performance? Just raise your hand. I'm not going to ask you further questions. Just one here. Show of hands, okay. Who knows someone who suffered from depression? Do you know someone who has learning difficulties? ADHD, dyslexia, autism? Yeah? Do you know anyone who's struggling with their job? What about someone who really wants to succeed at work or school and works very hard to achieve? Yeah? Okay. Do you know anyone who owns a business and wants to improve their own or their company performance? So we're doing well here. Okay, do you know anyone who is struggling with their memory? Okay, I'm glad nobody forgot to put their hand up on that one. Okay, so what I have to say should be of interest. Does everybody know what autism is? Yeah, you have an idea. Yeah, so basically someone with autism, they're wired slightly differently, so their social interaction is hugely affected. And you'll hear a little bit more about it as I go along. But basically, Shami has a diagnosis of autism and ADHD, and he did have severe depression. Okay?
How old is he?
He's now 26. Okay?
Can I add to this before Sonal adds to it?
Yeah.
The owner, the founder, and the maker of the Brain Abilities Project is Shami.
Thank you.
Sorry, I had to put that in.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to tell you. I grew up in a society which there's a lot of denial and about learning struggles, okay? I was really blessed to have very supportive and strong parents. My father always mandated never live in fear of anything, and that has really helped me with Shami's situation. For any parent learning about the fact that your child has a disability of any sort is heartbreaking. When I was told that Shami has autism and ADHD, I was devastated. All things run through your mind. Is it my fault? How did this happen? What do I do? I failed him as his mum, etc. Then you're faced with the realization that in the life after us stage, your son will not be able to support himself. The dreams about a university degree, a fantastic career, the bright pathway you visualized for your child is suddenly a very dark and difficult one. I couldn't see the light. I didn't have knowledge of autism and ADHD at that time, and I started to research this lovely Google engine, which I do recommend you don't do, even though my daughter works for Google. So I researched how I could help him. Anyway, after years of pathways and different things, nothing worked. So just before I go on to what we did do, just a bit of background like to understand about his situation. When Shami was a toddler, if we used a pressure cooker in the house or the vacuum cleaner while he was in the house, he would cover his ears, cower or hide. In primary school and onwards, he was very quiet, he didn't speak. Very few words took a long time to be said. He couldn't read, he would not socialize, he would play with his toys and not interact with others. He would walk round and round the room pacing when he wanted to express something, but it didn't come out. I eventually used to call him my goldfish, as he went round and round the same place. Yeah. He couldn't learn the way mainstream school taught children. I had to think of different ways to help him and teach him. It was a heartbreaking journey which eventually led to severe depression for Shami, as he was also bullied at school. as he was an easy target, he didn't respond and didn't tell. So, fast forward, Shami is now 19. We were introduced to a wonderful clinical psychologist in Dubai at the time where we were living. She recommended, after spending about 8 to 10 days with him, she recommended that I put him on a brain training program and I teach him life skills, and she gave me 1 year. I drove home crying. I didn't believe her. But I wasn't going to miss the chance of trying this out. So we put Shami on the brain training program. After around 12 weeks, Shami started to make eye contact. He started to say what he wanted for dinner. He started to go out a bit more with the few friends he had. He used to come home and say the things he saw, and those things were always there, but he never observed them. Then he would stop me and my husband from talking in the evening and said he was overwhelmed. We said, why? This is just like, we haven't done anything here, it's just normal banter. And he said that in 20 minutes he's absorbed more information than he would have in the last 20 months probably. Yeah, this is what brain training did for him. So the brain training was working. Shami went on to do more programs, more therapy, and eventually he did so well that he did an internship with the brain training company. So he became a very successful brain trainer, and he totally understood the clients because of his own journey. One day he came home and he asked his dad, "Dad, I really, really would love to do this. Can we open a brain training center?" And his dad asked him why. He said, "Because I don't want other children to feel disconnected. I want to help others." So his dad's a bit of a joker. He said, "Sure, son, high five. That's a no-brainer." So the next part of his journey began. So we helped Shami to open his own training center in Dubai, and then we opened here in Rickmansworth, and now we have one in Harrow and also London W1. We now have a son who 7 years ago could not speak to one new person. He can now speak to an audience of 1,000. He couldn't read. He couldn't read, now he reads for fun. He has become known as the brain coach on social media. He is the CEO of our company and my boss. And he's helping to change lives every day. Shami's also helped Young Enterprise in South Hertfordshire by going to schools and speaking to budding young entrepreneurs to inspire them. He also won Global Student Entrepreneur of the Year Award for the UAE 2 years ago, and he was up against other normal people. Yeah? He's my personal living proof that the brain training works. So, about the training. Our clients are able to stay more focused when they finish a program, learn more easily, they're better at sports, they have much better attention, they remember more, they're better at life. To give you a few other examples, I can quote some bits and pieces from testimonials, which you can see on our website and our Facebook page. One of our clients is a barrister. He is in his mid-30s. His name is Michael. A wonderful man. He decided to commit 4 months of his life to brain training to enhance his ability. He said, "Brain training has been a real commitment, and I am left with a genuine sense of achievement at the end of the journey. I've been challenged and I'm happy I took the chance. If only I could have done this 25 years ago. My day-to-day quality of life has improved, and I have noticed some clear changes. I am less anxious, I have better mental arithmetic, my attention and memory are much stronger. I can multitask, my driving is less erratic." So, another one I can share with you right now is a lovely lady called Zarmeen. She sent both of her sons to us, aged 10 and 13. She said, both have exceeded their personal best in exams, and I have seen an improvement in concentration, not just in school, but in daily tasks. A pharmacist, age 63. Before I started the brain training course, I was not concentrating on what I was doing at one time. It was very hard, and I was slower in carrying out tasks at work. So after the brain training, I'm much quicker, more organized at work. Outside of work, I'm able to manage tasks daily much better. My memory is improving. I passed a professional exam with over 90%, which is higher than I have ever scored. He now has the choice to continue working. He doesn't have to retire because he was, becoming tired. So why did these people come to us? Apart from Shami's proof of what he achieved, we are backed by over 35 years of research and studies. And a study was done in the USA that showed our program to have an average increase in IQ of 15 points in one program. Okay? But the US government wasn't happy. They thought we were like cheating or something. So they were suspicious. They did their own trial, and after a long trial with lots of administration, they realized that they found a 21-point increase in IQ. Yeah. Our results in 2019, our adult clients' gains were 25 to 30 percentile. In one program, this is, yeah? Children's gains were about 3.8 years in ability in one program. So that's almost 4 years. And that means we actually had an 8-year-old that left with the learning ability of a 12-year-old. So, if you are out of physical shape, you go to the gym. If you need your brain to serve you better, so you can perform better, you come to our brain training center. Brain training gives you independence, makes you efficient, successful, happy. If I said to you that if we analyze your brain now, performance-wise, and your cognitive ability, and said that there's a chance that you could maybe improve by around 20%, what does that mean for you?
A lot.
So that means that if you work 5 days a week, one of those days becomes free because you're doing everything more efficiently, right? And I know that the business people amongst us will be more likely thinking, I can have 20% more productivity. Yeah? So do help us raise awareness and take a leaflet with you, because even if you don't want to do it, you will come across someone that could use the training. So the other thing, what else can I share? Tips. What can you do to help yourself? Okay. Try to remember 5 new things every day. Okay? If 5 is steep, start with 2, build it to 3, etc., and work to 5. And then when you get to 5, add to it. Okay? Try and memorize your shopping list, and don't take it out until you're ready for checkout. And then just check, so you leave with everything you've gone for, yeah? These are things you can do just to help yourself. There is a memory game, no gadget style. Yeah? So it's very simple. It's a fruit game. I call it the fruits game. So you say fruit, banana, you say banana apple. Yeah? You say banana apple pear. And you have to remember and add. Yeah? You can play it in the car, you can play it wherever you are. It's very, very good. Health. Kill ants. A-N-T, ants. So I'm not asking you to go out and stamp on ants. Ants, A-N-T, are automatic negative thoughts. Okay? Get rid of them. The glass is always half full. It's never half empty. You got air in your lungs, it's full. Okay? Keep learning. Keep your brain on the ball with new information. Every time you learn something new, your brain is creating new connections and flourishing. Exercise. A part of the brain called the hippocampus looks after memory, learning and emotion. The best way to grow new neurons is to exercise. Hippocampus, yeah? Is to exercise. This will also help keep dementia at bay in later years. Yeah. So that's what we do. That's what I can share with you now. Spread the word. Sharing is caring. Martin Luther King said, if you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. Yeah. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. Yeah. I have personally watched Shami crawl and walk, and I'm looking forward to watching him run and fly. I know I will, and I have the absolute privilege and honor of saying that so many people in the last 4 or 5 years who have gone through our programs, I have watched them do the same. Yeah. So, I'm incredibly proud of Shami. When you meet him, you will realize that you can't even tell he has autism. Is that right? And I hope you can help us to inspire others by sharing our message. Yeah. Thank you so much. Hashtags no limits. Yeah. Thank you for listening.
Yeah. We work for nurseries.
Yes.
We're nursery teachers, so we see a lot of this early sign of autism, special needs.
Yeah.
What age do you recommend?
So we do have young children as young as 4 or 5. But if we're doing, so we do basic programs as well, foundation level programs. But if someone's coming to us for big gains, like the ones I've mentioned, then I would say bring someone to us from 6 onwards. Okay. Just because they have a little bit more stamina, you know, for the training.
Okay, I'm going to take some of your leaflets.
Yeah, please.
We can hand over to the parents.
Sure, yeah. And I'm happy to take phone calls, you know, like for any questions people have.
Brilliant.
No problem. Thank you. Has anyone got any questions?
Can I just comment? As a neurologist, we do see people with autism, and of course brain training is definitely very, very helpful. But in addition to brain training, there are other support systems that are required. So I think it's very vital that you have the diagnosis made.
Yeah.
And it's an autism spectrum disorder, so it's a spectrum. From very, as she said, I mean, nobody would know that Shami has it. So from very minimal affection to somebody who is very severely affected, I mean, it will be a professional who will decide what kind of systems.
I think that some of the parents have siblings who are 6, 7, and they've been, so it would be good for them to know there is something there.
I have to say that if you met Shami when he was younger, you would know he has autism.
Yeah.
Only the brain training has changed him.
Yeah, so it is a very big vital part of it, but there are other systems.
There are. We recommend other therapies as well.
Yeah,
so,
speech therapy basically, isn't it?
Yeah, so there's lots. So in our therapy, we are dealing with attention, processing speed, auditory, visual processing, working memory, long-term memory, logic and reasoning. Yeah, so we're testing this. We analyze where the weaknesses are. If we feel the program is a good fit for the person, only then we offer the program, because we deal in guaranteed results. Yeah? So we're not going to take someone's money and say, do a 30-hour program, fine. No, we check and we want to give results. Our mission is the same as the clients. Yeah? We want improvements. The other thing is that our clients, none of those that I gave the testimonials for have autism. None of them. Yeah? Our clients, most of the clients that come to us are people who have children that are in high school struggling with their studies. Sometimes a child or adult with dyslexia or ADHD, I've had a gymnast that was on European tour come to us. He had ADHD or has ADHD, and he was ruining his career. He came on a brain training program, and then he went back to doing his gymnastics, and he won a silver medal thereafter. We have 2 children of a very well-known London-based neurologist as well that come to us. It's basically for anybody that wants to improve their performance. Yeah. It's not just for people with special needs. Yeah, we have.
I think it would be very useful for people with vascular dementia.
Yes.
Because for vascular dementia, we have no drugs. Alzheimer's, there are drugs which we use. It's not a cure, at least it slows down the progression. So people who have a diagnosis of vascular dementia, I would definitely recommend brain training.
What's vascular dementia?
So vascular dementia is memory problems due to circulation to the brain. So if anybody has that diagnosis, I would recommend brain training, definitely. That would be very useful.
Yeah, thank you.
Where are you based?
Harrow on the Hill, Rickmansworth.
So what is the cost of your session? Or
Assessments are £150 plus VAT. Sometimes we had promos on through the year, depends. And then the cost of an actual training, because it's one-to-one training program, yeah, you get a personal trainer. It's not a group therapy. So that will depend on what we find at assessment and what is required. But our rates start from around £50 per hour plus VAT. Yeah. We're not much more than private tutors.
Sure.
Yeah. But for the cost of a handbag or the cost of a holiday, you're getting a better brain.
Yes.
Any questions?
It's wonderful. I think it's good.
Thank you. I know I was the last to speak, and that must have been such hard work having to focus at the end. Thank you.
It was lovely. We would have loved to meet your son, see the product. I'm sure we'll have another opportunity to have him around. Thank you all very, very much. I learned a lot actually, asking all your wonderful questions. I think you don't know sometimes every little information is so important in our life, as the satsang and the manorats and the katha. But I think this for me, if I can do all that right, I can do the seva properly. So Vaishnav Seva is the main aim for Pushti Parivar UK. We are slightly different than everybody else because we want to bring loads of awareness, not only satsang and religious side of it, but also for your personal awareness, self-esteem, looking after yourself and helping your families. You know, we all have family members who have certain or something wrong with them, or even struggling, or even, you know what I mean. So I think these kind of things helps in Pushti Marg as well. So we don't want to be labeled as just Pushti Marg community, but we want to be labeled as a community service. And we have received amazing letters of people we have helped in the elderly home care. For 1 year we gave service. Some of the volunteers came with me. We looked after them. We did a lot of activities regarding the brain activity. You know, the management saying it was a brilliant idea. They want us to start again. They're asking us to go back there. So, you know, Pushti Parivar has done amazing, amazing work in the community. Last week, 17, 18 of us, Prithiba and all of us were with us. We all went to do homeless seva, and we served hot foods. We gave them personal toiletry kits, and amazing blessing we got from all of them. And I think some of us were in tears. The state of, honestly, even now I'm emotional. Very emotional, because Radha was with me and said, "Bhanabel, look at the way they're sleeping in this cold weather. How can they sleep on the floor, you know?" So please guys, when you see messages, do respond, because we like the respond, you know. And if you like to donate any time of the year for Joy of Giving, that's a separate, that's the reason we got a separate reference for Joy of Giving. That money especially goes for the home care, homeless. And we also helped Autistics Hospital
We raised £5,000 and we donated in front of JJ. JJ donated to them, and that's appreciation came through them to us very nicely. So we're doing amazing. It's a little small trust we have, and with the Yadunath Baba, his inspiration, even in what he's doing, his motivation videos, and getting all the Vaishnavas to be aware of what else do we need to do in life, not just religion. So learn to change your attitude towards people. Yesterday was no complaint day celebration. He's amazing. So he's one of the Vallabh Barak who wants to reach the youth and say, look, these things we do as well, not just seva. So do support Pushti Parivar UK in the new project we're coming along with. We're doing something amazing soon. I'm going to announce later. So not now, I'm not ready for it, but something very big I'm planning with my trustees. I haven't even heard of it yet. So we'll speak to them and we get approval, and I'm really excited to do that as well, to help the great open street children who help us in the last stage of their life, something for them. So please support us. Please, whenever I forward you all in my group, when I forward something, please forward to people who don't get to hear, because I had a couple of phone calls today and said, we just got to find out today. So please forward to people you think will benefit from all this, and pass this message to everybody that do attend. It's really important. Every donation you've given today for ticket is gone for the cost of this whole. We don't make any money in this trust. So everything is to do with Vaishnavas, their caring and their seva. Our main motto is to do Vaishnav seva. And this is why JJ has opened the trust. So thank you to Sunil, Prashant Bhai for being here, and my volunteers supporting all this. But please do mingle, have a coffee, tea. We still got the whole till 7:30. Please go and make most of the information this wonderful lady has brought with them. Do share them. I think I really recommend, especially the brain training. I think is amazing. I'm not even looking into it. Working with Pushti UK, I don't need to function a bit more faster. So it's amazing information. Thank you so much, Sonal, and yourself. And we wish you all the best. I'm going to give my swap. I'm just under 55. Is that all right? Pretty healthy. A few of us have wanted to give us swap, and please do if you want to. I think it's good if we can help somewhere in life. So thank you. Rather, if you would, we would like to give a little token from all of us. First of all to Sonal, and this is a little so you can grow. And from Pushti Parivar UK house plants, because I thought it was a brilliant idea, so you can remember us every time you pour the water in there. And Lalit Bhai, thank you so much. He was initially the first person. For the last 2 years, we've been talking and we said, we must do something together. Remember, I think it was 2 years ago, I remember very well. And he's the one who inspired me to get over, and Mahendra Bhai at the cruise, he was getting in my head, do something, So thank you to all these lovely people. I'm going to give you one because you live together.
You don't even have to. Thank you, Bhavna.
And Yogesh Bhai, only say which is God is saintly, your wife will tell me off otherwise. So please do mingle, don't just rush off, because we made a big effort here, so I'm glad the turnout is still very good. I think they say the quantity is not important, it's the quality. Even in my satsang group, we're studying Shora's grant, and amazing results have come up from the ones who are attending. Some of them will shake their hand here and head, and amazing philosophy by Mahaprabhuji. We are experimenting and forwarding. Lalit Bhai, you got something to do? Yeah? Okay. All right, then that's fine. I think we got quite a lot of information today. Thank you so much, everybody. I think we should clap for them. Thank you. And I love you all because your familiar faces are always with me. I think they know who they are. Thank you for your support. And please try to attend Pushti Parivar Bhagavad Saptah in August, 15th of August till the 21st of August. do come and join, and anybody કોઈને પોથી મનોરથી બનવું હોય તો પ્લીઝ નામ લખાવજો અને આગળ બધાને મેસેજ પણ ફોરવર્ડ કરજો, કારણ કે જે કહેતા હતા જસ્ટ ક્વિકલી that લાઈફમાં આપણે કહે છે ને હિન્દુ રિલિજનમાં કે આપણે કોઈની પાછળ કે ફેમિલી પાછળ આપણે ભાગવત સપ્તાહ કરાવતા હોય અને ઘણા બહુ સંકોચથી નથી કરી શકતા કારણ કે ફાઇનાન્શિયલ સિચ્યુએશન નથી હોતી, છોકરાઓ નથી સપોર્ટ કરી શકતા. તો જે ભાવનાબેન આ વખતે આપણે ટોપિક ભાગવત હંમેશા મેં છે ને હંમેશા ડિલે કર્યા રાખ્યું છે કે જે ના આ વખતે નહીં વી વોન્ટ ન્યૂ પુષ્ટિ માર્ગ